This episode of the Game Over Greggy Show is brought to you by Squarespace. Whether you need a landing page, a beautiful gallery, a professional blog, or an online store, it's all included with your Squarespace website. Now, why would we say go to Squarespace? Because, buddy, yeah, that's right, I'm talking to you. Don't look away, look me in the eye, you coward. That's right. Squarespace is what we used to build the original kindoffunny.com. And as I often say, I'm pretty sure Nick Scarpino can't read. So if he could use Squarespace to build the original kindoffunny.com, what's your excuse? Start your free trial today at squarespace.com and enter the offer code KINDOFFUNNY to get 10% off your first purchase. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Game Over Greggy Show. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the producer / seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Now, I've been told to not look at the confidence monitor that's right there.
Because the whole last episode you just stared at, and everybody's like, "What's wrong with Nick?"
He didn't just stare at it. That was the thing. If he was always staring there, at least that would make sense. He's doing this the entire time, which is extra funny because Kevin, cut to this guy. When there's so much attention on it, when it just looks like this.
Like there's
it's
gremlins.
Like extra funny.
It's true. It's true. It's hard. It's hard.
I'm just looking out for you.
I appreciate that. It's a really good note because this is eventually I will desensitize to the fact that everything I want to change every single thing in the studio. But for right now, it's just such a brand new baby. I just took it home. I was worried that someone was going to hit it.
What'd you do to that brand new baby when you got it?
I just took it, swaddled it up. You know what I mean? Put it in its little crib, right? And then I just watched it breathe all night. And then I watched it breathe. And then I grabbed the pillow. No, I'm joking.
Over here at the Pride of Long Island, Colin Moriarty.
I don't know.
It was him like thinking about killing the baby.
Oh, okay. Well, is that another time? Is that going to be a topic this week?
I don't know. The child kicking the shit out of the
People love
children
this fighting five
whenever so well.
Ripping their heads off.
Yeah.
That was a funny episode. I thought that was an authentic.
That was a really good episode.
The only thing I know from any feedback for anything we do is when Tim goes, "Hey, the comments were either positive or negative." I don't even read it myself. I just ask Tim. He could be lying to me.
I wouldn't lie to you.
That's the pure line.
Wouldn't lie to you.
Tim Gettys.
Let Tim host.
Tim, I like your shirt.
Thank you.
It's very reminiscent of a shirt I have.
Is it?
Yeah, I wear it sometimes. You've seen it. I got the checkered.
You do got the checkered.
Now, of course, we're wearing a Heather Gray shirt here.
Yeah, I thought I'd bring it back.
I haven't seen this one in a while.
No, I only have like 3 Heather Gray shirts. I only have like 5 shirts.
Second.
I have 4 now because I think one got thrown out. My PBS shirt finally got.
No, the PBS was like you to a T.
The PBS shirt Danielle did. She looked at it and was like, "It's got to go." And I fought for it.
How hard did you fight?
Real hard.
Yeah.
Just
give me the argument. Here, I'll do it.
I was like, "Babe, this is my."
Babe, I'm gonna throw this away.
I'm like, it's my favorite. I started negotiating. Right. I was like, "Babe, it's my favorite shirt. You can't throw it away. I love it." She's like, "It's got the weird things in the pits from all the deodorant that you've worn. Like it's starting to get hard underneath there and crusted." And I was like, "Great. I'll just use it as a workout shirt. Then we'll put it in the workout drawer because like when it goes from the closet to the workout drawer, that's usually fine. Usually I can keep it for another year or so."
Yeah.
And she was like, "The pits are so disgusting that anytime you lift your arm above your head, people are gonna get freaked out. It's got to go." And then I was like, let's just table this discussion, right? We'll come back to it. And she goes, "Sure." It's gone.
No,
I haven't seen it since. Haven't seen it since.
You fell for it. The false truths.
It's gone. But you know what? That's what you have to do sometimes because as you know me, I'm very OCD about stuff, and I will just hold on to everything and hoard until they have to just dig me out of my own apartment.
Like all the G.I. Joes that are now in this building.
Yeah, which Kevin's like, "So what are we gonna do with those?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna sell. Colin and I have a great plan in place. We're going to go on yojo.com. We're going to list each individual toy.
This is never going to
on
happen.
The marketplace." And we'll split the profits 50-50.
If you're going to sell the figures, I'll buy them from you. If you're selling the vehicles, I'll help you sell the vehicles. I don't want them.
Let's look through the figures. I might be persuaded to be selling those. But
Let's
the
make
vehicles.
a deal. Colin is going to fucking take you for every fucking penny.
The thing is,
he'll buy them
you're going to be paying
he's
me
gonna buy them
$500
15 cents on the dollar for these things and then go flip them on Yojo.
He's never going to flip them, first of all, because Colin's not the kind of person that could actually part with a G.I. Joe.
No,
he
never.
can't do it. There's
I've
no way
never
he would
sold
buy
a G.I.
them,
Joe,
and
only
he
buy
would
them.
just. he would keep him in pristine order and probably hand him over to his children one day. And by hand, I mean like lease them to them for life. And then if one of the kids, God forbid, something should
Got
happen to
smothered
him,
by Uncle Nicky.
Colin gets the Joes back. That's just the way it's gonna go.
If you didn't know, this is the Game Over Greggy show. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table. Each bring a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunny, where we post the entire show topic by topic. Nope, that's not right. Kevin threw me. We post it early there. You can go there and you can get it early. You give us a few bucks, you get it early. There's a bunch of perks and cool stuff like that. Kevin got up and started stomping.
What do you mean, the lumbering giant that threw you up?
Jesus
What
Christ.
kind of a professional are you? You
Jesus.
get a fucking Jack and the Beanstalk comes at you and it shakes you?
Jack and the Beanstalk.
Oh,
He's coming at you.
What was that show that where the guy came down the stairs, or there was we talked about this, I think, on a previous show. There was like
Fraggle
an
Rock.
80s show with like a giant that lived in a house with a woman, and it was like a blue house, and I gotta find
Dinosaurs.
Bear in the
dinosaurs.
Big Blue
No,
House.
someone out there knows. I'm gonna find exactly what I'm talking about.
Giant that lived in a
Yeah,
house.
I think he hit his head all the time when he came down the stairs or something. I'm
It's
gonna.
Sheer comedy.
It was one of those 80s children's thing. I think that had no business being for
cartoon?
children. No, it was live action.
I don't know.
I'm
Now I
gonna
wanna get to the bottom of
investigate
this.
it.
When you go to patreon.com/kindafunny, you get the episodes early, a whole bunch of exclusive perks, and you get to give us all sorts of our dreams, like the studio that you gave us. And we
Give
get
us
to say
all sorts of our dreams.
thank you to all these people who supported us in the previous month. Thank you all so much for your support.
Thank you for giving
if
us
you
all
have
sorts
no
of your
bucks
dreams.
to toss, head over to youtube.com/kindafunny, where we break the show up topic by topic, day by day, until we post the entire thing as one big video in MP3 the following Friday. Colin,
Yes.
what's your topic?
I want to talk about Gawker, Gawker.com. Specifically, the site is no more. It's defunct now as of the time we're writing this, or recording this. We're not writing anything, actually. And the saga surrounding what happened to Gawker and the demise of Gawker is very controversial. It's one of the most controversial things I've seen happen to a publication, maybe ever. And so I want to catch you guys up on basically what has happened, and then get your opinions on what happened, because this is a very divisive subject. The basic gist of it is that Gawker.com, which is the flagship of Gawker, owned until a few days ago, Deadspin and Kotaku and Gizmodo and Jalopnik and IO9 and all these sites. So I think they owned IO9. Yeah. So basically what happened is Univision, the Hispanic kind of conglomerate, came in and bought all of them except for Gawker. Like, they don't want Gawker.com. And because it's so toxic or whatever. But what happened basically is controversial, because a billionaire basically funded a lawsuit to put them out of business, like specifically designed to put them out of business.
This is a billionaire who had been slighted by them.
Exactly. So
and outed by them.
So I was looking for like a way to distill this for people either at this table or more importantly out there that don't know exactly what happened in kind of a succinct way. And so I found a story it's going to take me a couple minutes to read it. It's on Vox and it says why Gawker.com is shutting down next week, which was written last week. So why Gawker shut down now? It says, Gawker.com, a gossip blog that spawned a multi-million-dollar media empire, is shutting down next week. The decision comes just 2 days after Univision won an auction to acquire Gawker Media, the parent company of Gawker.com, as well as websites like Gizmodo and Lifehacker. It might seem surprising for Univision to spend $130 million for the company and then immediately shutter its flagship brand, but the business logic behind the decision seems pretty clear. Gawker.com's brand has become so toxic that continuing to operate the site could have posed significant financial risks. Shuttering Gawker.com will allow Univision to get a fresh start. Other Gawker Media sites will apparently continue operating, and Univision's management will be able to focus their full energies on them. And what we basically heard, I think, is that 95% of Gawker's employees will actually continue to work for Univision. So it's pretty unprecedented. It's a pretty unprecedented deal. Yeah. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens with that.
What am I doing? There we go. So it says Gawker's sensationalistic journalism brought about its downfall. Gawker Media's path to bankruptcy began with a decision by Gawker.com editors to publish a video of Hulk Hogan having sex without the permission of either Hogan or his partner. Hogan sued, argued that this was a violation of his privacy. A Florida jury agreed, awarding Hogan $140 million in damages earlier this year. Gawker didn't have $140 million, so the company was forced to declare bankruptcy. The company was put up for auction with the proceeds used to pay part of Hogan's judgment. We didn't know it at the time it was filed, but Hogan's lawsuit was secretly funded by technology billionaire Peter Thiel. Thiel has borne a grudge against Gawker since 2007 when Gawker published a post titled "Peter Thiel is totally gay, people." Thiel started to look for opportunities to punish Gawker for what he saw as irresponsible journalism. These were not isolated incidents. Gawker has outed others, including CNN anchor Anderson Cooper and Shepard Smith of Fox News. In one of its most infamous stories, Gawker reported on a New York media executive soliciting the services of a male escort. The man was not a public figure, and the piece was later removed after founder Nick Denton decided that the story had gone over the ethical line. In court, Hogan's lawyers sought to portray Gawker as an organization without a moral compass. It wasn't a hard argument to make. During one deposition, Hogan's lawyers asked a former Gawker editor if there was any situation in which a celebrity sex tape would not be newsworthy. Quote, if they were a child, was the response of the editor, Albert Delirio. And the lawyer asks under what age, and Delirio says 4, sarcastically. As a result, arguments about media freedom fell on deaf ears in the jury box. Jurors didn't buy arguments that the First Amendment protected Gawker's right to humiliate random celebrities by publishing videos of their most intimate moments. So here's where things get controversial. Whatever your view of Gawker's journalism, the case does raise questions about whether billionaire-funded lawsuits could threaten freedom of speech. Gawker isn't the only publication to be targeted by a disgruntled billionaire. Last year, the liberal magazine Mother Jones defeated a defamation lawsuit filed by Republican donor Frank Vandersloot. Winning the lawsuit cost Mother Jones, a relatively small nonprofit organization, and its insurance company $2.5 million in legal fees. If Vandersloot's goal was to punish Mother Jones for writing an accurate but unflattering story about him, a loss was almost as good as a victory. His lawsuit sought $74,999, staying just under the $75,000 threshold that would have allowed Mother Jones to move the case into federal court and away from an Idaho jury that might have favored the hometown plaintiff. So winning the lawsuit cost Mother Jones and its insurance company 30 times as much as the amount they would have lost if they would have paid if they lost. What was really ominous was what happened after Vandersloot's loss. He announced that he was setting up a $1 million fund to pay the legal expenses of people wanting to sue Mother Jones or other members of the liberal press. And as far as I know, no one has taken him up on the offer, but the threat of freedom of the press is obvious. Any news organization doing its job is going to make some enemies. If a wealthy third party is willing to bankroll lawsuits by anyone with a grudge, and defending each case costs millions of dollars, the organization could get driven out of business even if it wins every single lawsuit. Thiel insists that he has no quarrels with news organizations that conform to mainstream journalistic norms. But the key thing about his strategy is that he didn't sue Gawker for outing him, a case he probably would have lost. Instead, he waited for years until he can find other plaintiffs with stronger cases. That's a tactic that any billionaire could use against any news organization, and because most news organizations cover a wide variety of topics, the story that provoked a billionaire's ire might have nothing to do with the stories that actually trigger a lawsuit funded by that billionaire. In short, Thiel's war on Gawker could become a template for other extremely wealthy people with personal or ideological scores to settle against news organizations, and that's something to worry about even if you think Gawker deserves what it's getting. And then they go on and on. I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything else. Yeah, that's basically it. That's basically the story. Mm-hmm. So what do you guys make of that? My personal take on this before to kind of set it up is Gawker got what was coming to it, and I was happy to see this happen. And I don't think Peter Thiel necessarily did anything wrong because Peter Thiel didn't use his money to bribe a jury or a judge. The jury actually rendered the verdict, and he basically paid about $10 million in legal fees for Hogan on Hogan's behalf, which we found out after the case was already over. Because the argument against this is simply this. People would basically admit, basically the admittance is Gawker did something wrong, but because this guy has enough money to shove them in a corner, they don't have the right to necessarily do that. In other words, Hogan would have had to fund his own campaign against these guys to make it righteous, even though the jury found Gawker liable anyway. Mm-hmm. So that's like a strange argument to be made, because that's basically saying, well, Thiel's a billionaire, so he has no right to fund this guy's thing, even though the court of law found that they were actually, Hogan's actually lawsuit was in the right, and it might be overturned by a court, appeals court, an appellate court. So anyway, I'll throw it to you guys, see what you guys think of it.
I mean, it's fucked up, right? Like, I think the Gawker thing is a victory, right? It is that they were being a bunch of assholes. They've been assholes for everybody, or forever, and everyone knew that. And so here you go. It's money being behind a good cause to stop them, and good cause being Hulk Hogan's sex tape. But, bankrolling this to make it happen. But then you see the opposite side of the spectrum where it sounds great in a vacuum, and that's the only thing. But then to jump to the Mother Jones example, yeah, that gets super scary, right? What about when somebody has an axe to grind with Kind of Funny and does something to that, where we have no way to, we never get to a jury because the legal fees crush us before we ever get anywhere remotely close to that.
Right. The thing that I'll say is that I don't think anyone disputes, at least I wouldn't dispute the fact that they probably have some First Amendment freedom to do this. Freedom of the press is sacred, but I just think that it's not that they fucked with the wrong person in Peter Thiel, even though they clearly did. It's that the things that they were writing are not newsworthy. They're not important. Yeah, they're ruining people for no reason.
It comes down to for one, it's case by case. But in this, I wholeheartedly I'm very happy that this has happened. This concept of irresponsible tabloid journalism, because the door swings both ways, right? The individual can't afford a lawsuit against. They can't afford to sue Gawker, right? How many people would have loved to have sued Gawker, but they don't have $10 million to do that with, right? So these people are being unethical, they're being predatory, and they're being just downright scumbags. And this is, there's nothing newsworthy about a guy choosing to have an intimate moment with another person, regardless of whether or not he's married. It doesn't matter. The fact that he's a celebrity and the fact that you've got this tape and decided to make money off of it is that opens you up to pretty much anything at that point, right? And to Greg's earlier point, yeah, I mean, that could happen to us. Someone could come out of the weeds and just decide to have, volley a lawsuit against us. But it would especially happen if we decided to be assholes. If we were just complete and total reckless shitheads and we were completely slandering people all the time and committing libel and doing all these things, right? But we're not. We're trying to at least be respectful. But if we went out there, right now, and I was like, Tim Gettys does these horrible things, and I said it over and over and over again, and it just wasn't true, then I would expect to get sued, and that's a legal battle that I think has merit to it.
Sure, but you're taking the negative slant or the positive slant. No, the negative slant on it. If we were the assholes, but what if we're the good people? We've totally said stuff that people could take offense with and have an axe to grind for a while, whether you're a publisher, celebrity, whatever. You know what I mean? If somebody we've said, and so it is that down the road, celebrity X that we did say, I don't like their movies or I don't like what they do, decides to is watching us like a hawk, and we do say something that is slanderous, that is libel, and then they come and get behind that person and fund them to come after us.
Sure, that would be terrible, right? But that's a different story from what we're talking about right now. Like, yes, I see both sides to it, and I know that sucks. But in that regard, I honestly think that we'd have hordes of people that would come to our side because that sounds terrible.
But I mean that's the whole thing. I don't think it isn't. I don't think it's the opposite we're talking about. But you're using the Hulk Hogan example. Right. I'm using the Mother Jones example.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, that's the thing too. Is like freedom of the press and freedom of speech is one thing, but where do you draw that line, right? Where do you become? Where does the protection end? And with Gawker, I think it ended when they decided to take someone's very private moment and make money off of it. I think that's terrible. And that's the one thing, like CNN, they don't do that, right? They don't, creditable news outlets, Wall Street Journal, things like that, they don't do that. They wouldn't, there's an ethical line that they would draw. And I just think that Gawker doesn't give a shit. Same with TMZ, same with all these rag sites that honestly, I could give a shit if they implode. And they probably will one day.
Will you read them?
Sure, it's fun. I do. I mean, but that's what it is. I don't look to them for journalism.
Sure.
These are rags. These are things that if I need a break and I want to see someone in a bikini, I see them in a bikini. But at no point do I feel good about myself for looking at that stuff. Right? I'm not enriching the world or myself by doing that. That's just a deep dark rabbit hole that occasionally I like to go down because you three guys drive me insane. And then there's Kevin. That's a special kind of crazy.
He is a special kind of something. So to Tim's point, like, what if it's true or not? I don't know if that. There might be examples. I'm not sure specifically because Gawker has written so much shit. I mean, you can go on and Google around like what is the fucked up shit that Gawker's written and done, and you can find just a plethora of information about that. No one disputes that what they're saying is true. Hulk Hogan did cheat on his wife with that woman who was like his best friend's wife.
Yeah,
and they have it on, and they have it on tape and they put it up. The thing is that what is the point of it? That's the point I'm trying to make. It's like it's character assassinating this man who, it's not even like
he did it to himself like a year later anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, like to me, it's a matter of public decency, to say like we don't support or condone this kind of character assassination of people that have nothing. Like the last straw for me was not even the Hogan thing; it was the Condé Nast CFO thing, which happened.
Remind me of that.
We were actually at SGC when this happened. I remember, and I was fucking livid when I saw this. I was like, I can't believe these guys keep getting away with this. What happened was the CFO of Condé Nast, who I don't think I'm conflating the stories. I think is relevant only because his brother is Timothy Geithner, who was the old Secretary of the Treasury. Mm-hmm. So in some remote way, he is important, I guess, but he's a private person. He's a CFO of a company, right? He was basically set up by like what appeared to be a gay prostitute or whatever, or a gay porn star to like meet up with him in Chicago, and then like all that shit was leaked. And I'm like, you just ruined this guy. You ruined him. Like, yeah, he was cheating on his wife and stuff. That's an immoral thing to do, but it's not part of the public record. It has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's a consistent argument I made with when we talked about Ashley Madison when the hack happened. I'm like, everyone was like celebrating. I'm like, who the fuck are you? The fucking morality police?
Yeah.
These are people's lives. And for all you know, some of these people probably maybe even had permission to do this kind of stuff. Or they have an open marriage or an open relationship or something like that. I'm like, you don't know. And even if you don't know, and even if what they're doing is the most malicious and awful thing and their spouse is blindsided, who the fuck are you to rain that kind of justice down on something that is like that? It's ridiculous. And so this seems to me to be a consistent kind of argument where Gawker peddled in this kind of shit constantly. And to Greg's point, yeah, like these things can happen to any organization, but we're not, we talk shit about publishers, for instance, every once in a while, their games. It's one thing to say Konami's a terrible publisher, right? It's another thing to manufacture or go into the private lives of the Konami executives and just publish character assassinating shit that's going to ruin them forever
Yeah.
for no reason. Other than that, because it's going to get clicked on 500,000 or 1 million times, which is basically the only reason they were doing those kinds of things.
But I mean,
I would
isn't that-
never cross that line. I would never do that.
But that seems like that's a reason though. Like that is why they're doing it. They're making money from it. You know, like that having headlines like that is going to get a lot of attention. Obviously, going to cause a lot of commotion around people, and it's just going to get more and more and more, and other articles written about it, and then you have money, right? And like that's their whole. But the whole point with it.
Not anymore, though.
The thing with they fucked the wrong person, you know, because of money though. It all comes back to how much money each person has, and it's like the reason that we talked about this before, like TMZ and all the tabloids can get away with this. They have legal teams that will crush you with money, so they can do whatever they want, whether it's moral or immoral, because they can get away with it. And what's very hard to kind of comprehend here is like, so the idea of the morality being like, who are you to judge these people cheating on their wives, or whatever it is, that stuff. But then who are you to judge whether a website talks about that or not? You know, and so or who are you to judge whether some guy uses his money to shut the shit down? That's where the problem for me comes in. It's like, where does that morality line stop where I'm allowed to have an opinion on it? You know what I mean? I feel like all of those things, I'm just like, it needs to either be live your life, or there needs to be a clear distinction of you're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to say this. Like the idea of freedom of speech, I think needs a little bit more rules, or else it needs no rules at all.
Freedom of speech isn't unfettered. I mean, the Supreme Court has, the famous case of you can't yell fire in a crowded theater, for instance.
Right.
That's illegal. The argument would be like, well, I can say whatever I want. I'm like, no, you actually can't.
You can't even damages other people or puts other people in harm's way.
Now, I believe in mostly unfettered freedom of speech, but I agree with Tim that there has to be some sort of limit on it, or at least some rule set. And I think the rule set doesn't necessarily need to be dictated by law, but rather dictated by what is decent. You know, like to the point of like a random company like Konami, which we don't like very much. Like we don't like their tactics with Kojima and stuff like that. It's one thing to talk about that, but I couldn't even first of all tell you an executive's name over there, because it's not about one person. It's about the way an organization has treated a person or proceed to treat a person. But I would never delve into a person's private life or into a person's dirty laundry and the skeletons in their closet and make that relevant, because it's fucking not. You know, it's like none of that stuff's ever relevant, except for if the person is, I think the line, frankly, is drawn at people that represent us, right? On a political stage or something like that. So like, I do think it's relevant that Bill Clinton got a blowjob from an intern in the West Wing. I think that's absolutely relevant. Right. And then lied about it. I think that's absolutely positively relevant. He's the president of the United States.
Sure.
You know, like you are under a microscope. You put that there. The CFO of Condé Nast is just a dude with a family.
Unless Condé Nast is being accused of doing something insidious, right? And then that opens up.
Right.
That opens up a little bit more leeway for that sort of thing, right?
If Condé Nast,
it's all context.
If Condé Nast's executive board went on record with an with a homophobic rant or something like that, for instance.
Yeah.
And then
it
they
turns
were
out
like,
that he's
hey,
gay,
you're gay.
Right.
Then maybe you might want to go down that path.
Sure.
But even then, I don't know that that's necessarily what you want to do, right? But that didn't happen. And the point is that like Hulk Hogan didn't do anything to draw the ire. Peter Thiel didn't do anything to them. You know, like
yeah. I mean,
Peter,
again,
like, and I can't help but kind of in a way. And I know it's not maybe a tasteful thing for some people, but I can't help but respect Peter Thiel's like long game. You know, of being like they outed him.
Yeah.
How is that okay with anyone to be? They outed Anderson Cooper. They outed these people, and I don't think that that's okay. That's a very personal thing. That's a personal thing.
Yeah.
If Anderson Cooper was on CNN with a homophobic rant one night,
right,
then maybe you want to say like, hey, Anderson Cooper, we know your secret. What the hell are you talking about? You're a hypocrite.
Right.
But to just target him because he exists, to just target Peter Thiel because he has money and he's conservative, which is, by the way, why I think they did it. And, you know, to target Hulk Hogan because he's just a name that you know and people are going to want to see his sex tape. Mm-hmm. I just think it's tasteless. I think it's what happened to Gawker is a victory for decency. And frankly, like the fact that they were able to spin off the other, like, I think I like Deadspin. I think that they've crossed the line before. What comes to mind for me is like the Brett Favre dick pic shit and all that kind of stuff that happened when he was on the Jets. I'm like, well, I guess it's interesting, but like I don't know that I need to know this. I don't know that this is really appropriate. But they also do real hard journalism there, and Kotaku's Saved and Gizmodo and all these kind of, which is, you know, their biggest brand. I think it's complicated. I think that this has drawn an interesting line of division though amongst people online. If you just go on Twitter, for instance, and search for Gawker and see what people are saying about it, some people are really some people, very big people, are celebrating this, and some people are thinking this is terrible. And I understand the thing of like, you want to not let the ball roll down the hill if you can't control it when it gets to the bottom of the hill, like when it's like really picking up steam. And could this like bowl over other people? And they bring up Mother Jones and all that kind of stuff. But I think you can differentiate those things. What Vandersloot is doing with Mother Jones is totally different. You know, Mother Jones is a website I don't like very much, but setting up a legal fund to sue liberal media is ridiculous, right? But that doesn't mean that necessarily Peter Thiel funding Hulk Hogan's lawsuit as a proxy basically was necessarily in bad taste either. They're different. And I think that and because I don't like the insinuation that like Peter Thiel funded this and therefore it's not legitimate. Like the ACLU funded $140 million worth of lawsuits last year.
Yeah.
The people that they were defending didn't fund anything at all. Are you gonna make the same argument with them? Like they're designed, of course, as a nonprofit to defend people, but the point is that they were also using money from donations to defend people that could not afford to defend themselves. Mm-hmm. Just because Peter Thiel's a billionaire and Hulk Hogan's a well-known name, they don't have the right to also go down that road. I just don't know if I agree with that.
Right, like this. I mean, but that's the distinction, right? Is like who do you see as being on the side of the right, on the righteous, right? And in the Gawker case, it's Peter Thiel. I mean, he was wronged, and he has every right, both legally and, in my opinion, ethically, to want to right that wrong. If there are other organizations that are just setting out to basically stifle or gag mainstream journalists, that to me rings wrong. That's wrong, right? That is an infringement on freedom of speech, freedom of the press.
But how do you stop it?
There's no obviously one rule for everything, but it is a case by case, and you have to hope to God that people are doing the right thing, right? You have to just trust that people are actually doing the right thing. I think if you were to look at it though, I think there are organizations like Gawker that are way more of a problem than the opposite, right? Where there are private organizations trying to shut down the press. Like I just don't. Again, Gawker not a mainstream press site in my opinion. Like not creditable journalists. These people decided that they wanted to roll around in the mud, and guess what? That's what they're going to be seen as.
That's the thing and that's the unfortunate thing people have been bringing up, which is it sucks that Jason Schreier is getting caught up in this with Kotaku, not literally, but Kotaku is kind of getting drawn down with this, and Jalopnik and these sites that people really like that don't really cross the line, right? We were just talking about on what was it we were talking about the Kotaku stuff, games journalism and all that kind of stuff. Oh, we're talking about on Gamescast, I think, about
sources and stuff.
Yeah, about how like Kotaku I think does real journalism, and I think they do because they focus on the games. And I think I made the point, and I'll reiterate the point in case I didn't make it, that it would be different if Kotaku wrote a story about how Activision's CEO is cheating on his wife. The fuck does that have to do with anything?
Right.
You know, they don't write those stories. Their flagship was writing those kinds of stories. And the ironic thing and the thing that I think is kind of sweet justice about what happened to Gawker specifically with Hulk Hogan is that they had the chance and were asked by a judge to take the video down, and they refused. And they wrote this big dick stroking piece about how like we're not taking it down and stuff like that. Well, fuck you. You reap what you sowed. Like you guys were too big for your britches in these fucking think pieces that are like lamenting the death of Gawker. Like shut up. You know, like these guys have contributed nothing to the world at all, and we are better off without them. Doesn't mean that their satellite sites we're better off without. We're not going to be without them. They're going to exist in perpetuity, right. And that's fantastic because they should be separated. And I feel bad for their tenuous connection to this bullshit. And Nick Denton's like, who's the founder of Gawker, and these parting pieces, these cry like about how they were wronged and a billionaire took them out. No, a jury took you out. A jury of your peers took you out. And let's not lose sight of that. Peter Thiel didn't bribe anyone. Peter Thiel didn't shove money into a suitcase and give it to the judge. Peter Thiel didn't give $100 bills to everyone in the jury. He funded a team of lawyers that represented them. And Gawker had enough money to defend itself and did defend itself. But they lost. Mm-hmm. If they won the case, this wouldn't have happened. So the entire line of argument that a billionaire funded this and put them out is not right. It's just fundamentally flawed. It's a flawed argument. It doesn't make any sense. That's why I don't understand why it's being peddled. It doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. You know, so I'll be really interested to see what the audience out there thinks about this, because it is a divisive argument. But I think this is a victory for decency. And I don't think we have enough of that in the world anymore. And I don't think we have enough, especially on the internet. You can't just go around flapping your fucking mouth about people's private lives. You can't do it. It's not right. Whether or not you can legally get away with it is another thing entirely. But it shouldn't be accepted in decent society to want to watch people fall and watch people, again, the Ashley Madison's a great example. Everyone's celebrating this. And I said right away, I'm like, why are we celebrating this? This is terrible. Mm-hmm. It's a terrible thing. This is going to ruin real people. People are probably going to commit suicide. People are probably going to like lose their jobs, kids, lose their jobs, lose everything. And we're celebrating that to get, so for a thing that you're not even going to think about again in 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. These people are going to have to deal with it for the rest of their lives. You know, Condé Nast CFO has to deal with that for the rest of his life. Mm-hmm. And what did he do? Nothing. And I think that's so. I'll be interested to see what, but I think this is a victory for decency, and I do think most people realize that. And while I respect the argument that this could be a slippery slope, I don't think it is, because I think you can easily sever the Mother Jones situation, for instance, from this. That sounds a little bit more shady to me than Peter Thiel being like, "You guys fucked me, and I'm gonna fuck you."
Right.
In the court of law, you know, and that's what I mean. Like, we're gonna go through the entire system's gonna see it through. Gawker didn't run out of money halfway through the case.
Right. That's the thing, though.
Gawker didn't like run out of money and be like, we can't defend ourselves.
But that's an important distinction to make, right? Is that this wasn't, because there are oftentimes you hear about trials where it's like, we can't sue these people because or if we get sued by them, they'll shut us down, because it's not about winning. It's just about milking the trial for so long, or bilking the trial for so long that one of us will go bankrupt. That's not what this was about.
No, it didn't, because they didn't go bankrupt until it was rendered, right? Until the verdict was rendered. And
now $141 million, stiff.
That is stiff.
Stiff for a porno. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, stiff. Well, pornos are known to be stiff.
Exactly.
But
that is a brutal. Like it could. I mean, let's be honest. Like, how much money did it really cost? Like, get there's damages and emotional distress and things like that. But 140.
Yeah, and it might get overturned. And I'm actually pretty sure it will.
I'm sure it would.
But it's too late for them. Like Gawker's like basically handcuffed until it is overturned, and they're just not able to do it. And the big theme. I really do implore people to go read about this stuff from Nick Denton. I think Max Reed, who's a guy who used to work there. I think he works at the New Yorker now. A lot of people wrote about this from all sorts of different angles. The one thing I see from the Gawker elite, or a lot of them, or the people I've read, they just cannot take responsibility for what they did. They just can't. They will pass the buck as much as possible on this one. They will just not take responsibility for their actions. And it's so frustrating to read this stuff from them. Like, dude, how could you ever justify this? You're not doing journalism. It's not important what you're saying. Take some responsibility for your actions.
Yeah.
That would go a long way with me, and I think a lot of other people. If instead of reading Nick Denton's piece, basically boo-hooing what happened and saying that basically in a nutshell that they were basically, you know, sabotaged by this man or whatever. Why don't you just take some responsibility for what you guys allowed to happen for years? And you got away with it for years, and you just pushed it too far. You know?
Yep, I agree.
So,
Tim,
Yes.
what's your topic?
So we travel a lot here at Kind of Funny.
We sure do.
We have, when we were at IGN, we were traveling all the time.
Nick ran away.
But recently, we traveled more than we ever have.
Right.
And by recently, I mean last week.
Yeah.
At the time of this recording, it is the day after our studio reveal.
12-hour live stream.
12-hour live stream and all that. The week leading into that, me and you were in
and you.
4 different states in a week.
Right.
Nick joined us for
2 of them.
For 2 plus
3 of them, I guess, if you count
Yeah, 3 of them.
Francisco.
You joined for 2. So, I want to talk about our journeys, Greg. 'Cause
Okay.
Me and you, we spent the entire week together.
We did.
Had
And
very
Gia.
few moments. And Gia was there too.
What up, Gia?
We had very few moments where we were not together.
Right.
Doing things together, having
Yeah.
fun together. It was a fun time, stressful time.
Of course.
A lot of emotions.
It was.
Let's start from the beginning.
All right. San
Me and you
Francisco to Austin.
go to Austin.
Sunday.
That was good. Took a Virgin flight.
Anytime you can be on a Virgin plane, it's great.
So
Getting
we
the
only
elevate points.
had 2 Virgin flights.
Yeah,
there
sucked.
to Austin and then back from
I was
Denver.
incredibly disappointed with Virgin on this trip. The fact that they fly to Denver and Chicago, and Austin and San Francisco. So I should be able to go between all those cities, no problem.
Yep.
But Austin to Chicago, Chicago to Denver, Austin, there's no
No, that
Virgin
goes.
thing. That's some bullshit.
So we had to go American.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that was really
Jesus
sad.
God.
But when we got to Austin, we did a lot of cool things. We were on the Rooster Teeth podcast. We went there for Rooster Teeth to collaborate with them. What's up?
Flying American was like stepping back about 20 years into the past.
Yeah.
It was a special
ramshackle little plane.
treat that I don't care to ever consume again.
Yeah.
That I just don't want that to happen ever again. No power outlets, no media
screen.
whatsoever, no screen.
I don't even think there was a
No Wi-Fi?
There was Wi-Fi actually.
It was one of those, like, you can open your iPad or your phone and connect to the Wi-Fi or the free thing. Then you
Go
get,
flight,
you can get
in-flight.
your in-flight entertainment that way.
Yeah.
One of those bullshit things.
I don't know. I just never works for me. Sorry, continue.
I will say, though, the Virgin flight to Austin, we had a very special flight attendant who was very, very, very attentive, disturbingly so, where she would not allow anybody's bags to not be completely underneath the seat. And she would just come and she was like, touching him, was like, yo, you need to calm. You would have not handled this well, Nick, at all.
Probably not. I've been trying to stay a little bit more patient. I'm trying to practice patience with people. Slow down a little bit, breathe. I got through, I would say, 99% of the trip, relatively happy, just enjoying myself. It's
good.
So I think I would have been okay. I was. By the time we got to Denver, I was like, this is going to be awesome. Because the Let's Play Live, which you'll get to in a second, it was a super fun event, but it took a lot out of me because it was long. We had 2 meet and greets that day, which were, I'm not complaining at all. They were awesome, but those took a little energy out of me too. So by the time I got to Denver, I was like, I want this event to be, I had this idea of what I wanted it to be. And normally when I have ideas of of what a thing is going to be in my head, it's never like that, right? It's always more great. We walked into this event. It was exactly what I needed it to be.
Yeah.
Super chill, really nice people. All the best friends were there. Like, no line at the bar, which is clutch. And I got to play some cool VR games. So that was really fun. But yeah, sorry, continue.
So going back, me and Greg went to Austin. We went to Rooster Teeth to make some content. It's been a while since we've done that. Last time was March, I think, when we all went down together.
Are you allowed to say
Was
what
that
you
March?
Let's Plays and stuff?
Are you allowed to talk about what you filmed?
Yeah.
God, that was so long ago.
Yeah. So me and Greg were on the RT podcast. You can find that over on Rooster Teeth's YouTube channel.
I show my nips.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Greg was crazy.
Free the nips, Greg.
Yeah.
And literally cut the nips out of his shirt.
Did you cut the holes in them, or did that shirt come like that?
No, I cut him out because the thing was that we were promoting, of course, that I was the Rooster Teeth Chicago shirt, but
Okay.
it was a smaller medium, so I put it on like a sausage casing.
Yeah.
And then it was brought up the fact that at the Chicago Theater for Let's Play Live, if I was to take my shirt off, I would cost Rooster Teeth $50,000 because there was a clause in the contract that there can be no male nudity at Let's Play Live Chicago, and if somebody was to do that, it'd be $50,000 at Chicago Theater.
Now, do you think
so? I
they-
try to get it all in my system.
Do you think they bothered to clarify that, or do you think they were just like, we're good, we'll just tell everyone to keep their clothes on?
Oh,
Seeing as
no,
how they
no.
have the GIMP suit, I'm pretty sure they
Yeah,
had
no,
to clarify
Bethany,
that.
the event coordinator over
Bethany,
at Rooster
sure.
Teeth, she had hell to deal with because she had to go back and forth with them and be like, all right, during the show, there's going to be a guy getting in a GIMP suit. Is that okay? And they're like, yeah, as long as there's not nipples. She's like, are you sure? Are nipple clamps okay if they're over a shirt? And they're like, yeah. It's like, all right, what if the nipples are clamped, then the shirt comes off? Like, so you're not seeing nipple. They're like, no, you can't do that. She's like, okay, good to know. Good to know. She had to figure out where the line was.
That's fascinating. I mean, it's one of those things where it was that I get it, but where do you draw the line with what is performance, right? Like, for instance, we walked in. No, for instance,
What is performance?
No, we walked in and we saw, obviously, by the way, the Chicago Theater is awesome. I don't want to think that we're talking shit about them, but it is a little weird that they have a rule like that, especially since as we walked in, you see all these signatures, and like one of the first doors I walked into was the Prince door. And it's like, you better goddamn believe if Prince wants to take his shirt off, he's going to take his shirt off.
Well, he just doesn't
Yeah,
care
we
about
can't judge him on that.
$50,000.
You think he just doesn't care?
No.
Well, is it, again, was it one time? Could we all have walked out with our shirt off and it would have been $50K?
I think
We
it
just
was.
take it off the rest
I
of
don't
the
know if it's stacked.
Yeah, I don't know. That just seems a little weird for me because like there are rules that you hear about for performances. For instance, like I think you're allowed to smoke on stage at comedy clubs because it's part of the performance, right? I don't understand how you can tell someone you can't do that. I get it if you're walking out offensively with genitalia or things that society has deemed is quote unquote nudity, but we all know we've all decided as a group of people on this planet that a man with the shirt off is not nude. That is not nudity. You see that at the beach all the time. You see it on billboards. You see it everywhere. You see it on like Pornhub. You see it on like X videos. Any of those sites, these reputable media sites, you can see a man with his shirt off. So I just don't understand why they'd have a problem with this.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot. It's their rules. They can do whatever the fuck they want.
No, I know,
They-
it's their
they
theater.
did.
It's a privately run group. They
But
can do whatever they
my
want.
favorite thing was Greg getting the email personally saying, "Greg, you can't take your shirt off."
Yeah.
It's like there was the rule overall, but they weren't worried about anybody. They were worried about Greg Miller, and I
have a
appreciate that
shtick.
about you.
They understand that I have a shtick. That's what I'm known for.
I think
both
it's
here and in the Rooster Teeth
I
community.
think they're body shaming.
No,
what I
it
think.
wasn't because you're fat. I don't think it was. You know what I mean? Because they got some good-looking Funhouse guys. They didn't take their shirts off either.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, I mean, I don't blame anyone for this. I'm just teasing. Obviously, you can do what you want to do. You run a historic theater in Chicago. You can set the rules as
Apparently.
you see fit.
So Greg
Private
did,
property.
made sure his nips were shown on the RT podcast, and that was a lot of fun.
Right.
Me, Greg, Gus, and
Sure.
Bernie and Gavin.
Then I gave away the control email address.
You did.
Still got a
You
lot of
did.
tweets about
it. Was
that.
a great episode. You should definitely watch it. Greg was fucking completely off the rails.
Yeah.
I like you on other people's content
Sure.
because then you're like, you need
There's
to
no
make-
responsibility.
There's
I
no
can do whatever I
responsibility,
want.
and you
How
need to
is-
make your presence known.
How is that
and you do a
any
good job.
different than everything we do here?
There is a difference. And you've seen it.
That's true.
He
Greg
goes
has
like
this like.
the extra
I don't have to
mile.
win these people over. They're already won over.
They're won.
My
They're already-
pheromones.
Ooh, I'm smelling them right now. They smell a little bit like Taco Bell.
Yeah, we do need to
You fed
work
me
on
Wild
the air circulation in this.
Well, we're gonna get some fans and stuff for later. Kevin brought up a good point.
That's a billion degrees in here.
Well, I think what I want to do is get a little. I want to get an AC
Was that the
unit and
point he
just put
brought
it
up?
right there.
Yeah.
And just feed it into the window potentially.
Nice.
They totally work, Kevin.
Shut
Kevin
up,
wants us
Kevin.
to get fans. He's like, get giant fans. I'm like, cool, because we have so much space here.
Use your microphone or don't talk, Kevin. That's your job.
You want to get a real AC unit? You want to put in an air conditioning unit into this building? Okay.
I noticed that the thermostat says that we do have AC, but I don't know if it's just a standard kind of thing.
I don't see a unit outside though. I think I see a heater in there, but I don't think there's an AC. There would have to
Maybe
be like
the
a
heater
bigger
doubles
unit.
as air conditioner.
It's just
Possible
it
we
is
can
rare to
try
have
it.
AC in this city anyway.
That's true.
We did the Bernie shows.
Oh yeah. We did Game Time with Bernie, which is like quite a big honor when you put everything in context. I think he's only done like 14 episodes of that, and
Yeah.
it's usually with like big name motherfuckers.
Michael Jordan.
He did not ever get Michael
B. Jordan.
Nope, not Michael B. Jordan
Kanye
either.
West.
But he has done it with like all the founders of Rooster Teeth and with with Meg Turney and stuff like that. So it's really cool that when she left. So it's cool that like he did one with you and one with me. They're like 60-minute at least Let's Plays where they're more like podcasts
Yeah.
where he's kind of interviewing us about who we are and how we got where we are and all that stuff. So that was really fun. Those go out next month and the month after.
Sure.
So that's exciting. We did a bunch of Let's Plays with Screw Attack.
We sure did.
Those are coming out probably October.
How'd those
November,
go?
I would say.
Eventually.
They're fun.
That stuttering Chris sucks. For being honest.
It's Stammering Dan.
Terrible. I'm sorry. Stammering Dan is
You
not
got to call him
my
by his
favorite.
real name, bro.
Sorry, my apologies.
It's disrespectful if you don't get it.
We were
right.
involved in a power outage because it rained the entire time.
We were there. We spent some time with Andy Cortez. That was fun.
Yeah,
I
that's
guess.
one word for it. That's one word for it.
The power outage was interesting. We did some no videos
Yeah.
with Ashley Jenkins.
They were all hit. Mine went over
Yeah,
really
yours
well
went
on
over really-
every subreddit.
It's not like, you went on there talking mad shit about PC gamers.
Who would do
and
that?
All this stuff. Yeah, no. That wouldn't make any
I'm
sense.
sure whoever I talk shit about wasn't super sensitive about it. It's no big deal.
I don't know if you heard about this, but on the RT podcast, at some point we're talking about the PlayStation versus Xbox in terms of form factor. We brought a PlayStation out, and Bernie, who had been out drinking with us before the show, which was the best decision we ever made, takes the PS4 and just fucking lobs it. And it was just like, good Lord, this is
Quite
quite
into
the
a table
adventure.
for no reason yet. Because
It's fun. That's fun.
It was
Yeah.
the Xbox One S came out, and I wasn't having that shit. And I was talking
Yeah.
about that PlayStation 4, of course.
Yeah.
And then Bernie's like, "Let me see it," and then just fucking threw it like a frisbee.
Yeah, it was great.
That's how you know
So
he has too
definitely-
much money.
Yeah, way too much money. If I did that, I'd be like, oh, damn it, that's going to cost me so
My
much.
saves.
Now I can't eat for a week.
Then we did the most important thing, which was the reason we went down there, and that's shoot $1 Million Butt.
Yeah.
An episode that was me, you, and Jeff. Now, if you don't know what $1 Million Butt is, you should go to Rooster Teeth's YouTube channel and check it out. It's, in my opinion, one of the best shows.
It's my favorite
they've
one.
Done. One of the best internet video shows ever. I
When
think.
we joined up with Let's Play, and they were like, "What Rooster Teeth shows do you want to be on?" I was like, "I need to be on $1 Million Butt."
So the idea is 3 people get around a table and they each give one scenario on you get $1 million, but you have to do this thing.
Right.
And then you kind of talk it out and if you would or would not. And the brilliance of the show is it's kind of like what we do with the Kind of Funny Doodles, where it's like the best of moments and it's animated, but instead of animating it, they actually shoot people doing
Live action.
live action dramatizations
Reenactments of it, yeah.
reenactments, and it's super, super funny, and they go all out, and the production value is like through the roof. They get real actors and stuff.
I'm excited to see both of yours.
Yeah,
'Cause
so
I know both-
we
don't
can talk
spoil
about
it.
it. No, we can talk
Can
about
we?
it.
Okay.
Yeah, people will be excited about when they see it, it'll make a lot more sense.
Sure.
But mine involved, I acted with this old lady who was in zombie makeup, and I had to like lure her into a cage while people in security outfits were poking her with a cattle prodder. And it's like, this is my life now. This is something that I'm doing. Greg had to get pantsed by an 8-year-old girl.
I got pantsed a lot. Not even by just the little girl.
There was a construction worker.
I might have worn a dildo.
The dildo fell out. Yeah.
How big? How big and what color?
Big.
What ethnicity was
Oh,
the
white.
dildo?
We're trying to make it look like me.
Was it white?
Ghostly white. They came in spray painted
I'm
chalk
just
white.
saying, if you got a choice, you got a choice. If someone says, "Hey, what kind of dildo do you want?"
You want that big black
Why you
baseball
gotta be out? Yeah, kind of. I want one the size of this fucking microphone. If we're in fantasy world, why not? If we're fantasizing
You're not
about these
fantasizing.
things.
It's not a fantasy. It's
It's a make-believe world. He doesn't actually have a grandma.
I don't. It's true. It's not my grandma. Oh, yeah, I guess it was supposed to be my grandma. Yeah.
It's a fun concept, though, and we should. There's a card game now. We should definitely play that.
We'll
at
do
some
a Let's
point.
Play of that.
Yeah, for
eventually.
sure. I think that'd be really fun.
It's gonna be great. But yeah, Blaine Gibson, shout out to him. He directed it, and always his shoots are so fucking awesome. He's the same guy that did the Let's Play
Intro video for Let's Play, yeah, or the
live action
announcement
trailer
video.
thing that we did, where we reenacted the Anchorman thing.
Nice.
But that shoot was a lot of fun. We got to do a lot of dumb shit.
Well, sure, because it's just different for us to go on a set that is like real functioning fictional work, where it isn't just we're horsing around doing a podcast or whatever. It was we a little bit of acting and doing this and hitting marks and seeing how they set stuff up or knock things down. If you caught it on Instagram, that's the one where I'm in the bed surrounded by money.
Yeah,
What's my other hand doing? Jacking off.
Yep. So I had to be in a room, and this is the most impressive thing to me. Their shoots involve so many people now. Like us doing this, going around, there was different locations, and there was a crew of like 30 that would just follow us around. They have the giant production truck that everyone would just get in, drive from place to place, and like they'd set up, and there was multiple audio guys, multiple camera operators, multiple people. Like they had a wardrobe person that's just there taking
I'm telling
pictures,
you,
making
man.
sure we're good. I'm like, man, this is like so real. And then we all get in a room and make sure that Greg is covered in money. And they had multiple people that were solely there to make sure they're making it rain correctly. And Greg's just there slow jerking it. Well, actually,
I wasn't slow jerking.
He was jerking
Colin.
it, but it was shot.
When
in
you see the
slow-mo.
footage, I want you to know that I was not slow jerking. I understand the difference between slow jerking and real jerking. I was real jerking.
He was jerking, but then it was in slow mo eventually.
Colin, for the new people who are watching this for the first time, can we get a little example or taste of the slow jerk, please?
Sure.
There it is.
That's it right there.
And I think this is even three
That's
times
a little
A
faster.
little too
faster
fast.
than
A little
it
too
used to be,
fast.
yeah.
Because it's always you want
You
it a
want
little
to
flaccid.
Yeah, like your dick's almost not even ever hard while you're doing it. Anyway.
Just tease it.
That's dirty.
We did a photo shoot.
That was
while
good. We
there.
did a photo shoot, which
For all our
fun.
clothes.
Yeah.
It was very fun because we were with people we didn't know well. We know so many Rooster Teeth people well. This was a photographer they had hired, and then, of course, one of their store people. And so, in the beginning, you'd go change shirts in other rooms or whatever. You had an undershirt on or whatever. When I was the first person there, I was just stripping out of my clothes. Just putting on different shirts or whatever. You weren't this. You later. They did something before with the people that weren't you. I confused
Got
them.
it.
They'd go
Got
change
it.
in other rooms. I would just change in front of them, and they weren't ready for that. They weren't prepared for how free I am with my body.
Well, that's the thing. You were trying to get your nips out as much as possible before Let's Play
I was trying to
Live.
air them out, get out of my system, of course.
I get it. I get it. So that was that. Then we left Austin. Before we left Austin, we went to a super awesome speakeasy bar,
Yeah.
which was the coolest thing in the world.
Midnight Cowboy.
Midnight Cowboy.
It was so the thing is, it's downtown. It's on 6th Street. 6th Street, if you've ever been to Austin, is fucking college town USA party bar. They could shut down the street. It's loud. It's obnoxious. There's a place called Bikinis where they're just everyone's in bikini. All the waitresses are in bikinis.
I wanted to go.
It's
So
not
I've
the
been
place
there.
where I'm like, I'm gonna go get a fancy drink. But hit up our friend, of course, Eric Castro. No, I told Eric Castro about this one. Hit up Gus, and I was like, we want a quiet place to drink. Where do we go? And he said, you need to go to Midnight Cowboy. You make a reservation on this janky ass website that's talking about it being a massage parlor, because it was the Midnight Cowboy massage parlor beforehand. When it got closed down and somebody else bought it, they just kept the same name.
Can you still get a massage?
No,
there?
you cannot.
Wow. That'd be a great bar. A bar/massage parlor. You
gotta
can just hang
exist
out
somewhere.
there, you're drinking, and someone's like, would you like a rub down? And you're like, yes. I'd like a rub down.
Well, I drink this Manhattan.
While I drink this amazing old fashioned.
So you make a reservation, and you come up to another unmarked door, and there's just a thing of like a buzzers for apartments and whatever. And you buzz one, somebody will come to the door and be like, "Do you have a reservation?" And you say,
They don't
"Yeah."
even go to the door. They do the little like whoosh
Yeah,
thingy,
yeah.
where it's just the eyes.
You got a reservation, yeah. And they shut it, and they come back, and they get you, and then they usher you back, and it's dim lights, it's super quiet and chill.
Love it.
The drinks were all amazing, and they did. Some of them have asterisks, and if they have the asterisks, it means they wheel the cart over and make them right in front of you and explain everything they're doing and what they're doing.
It was honestly like Colin's dream place because they're making all these fancy drinks and they talk to you like they're making the food from the organic places.
Yeah.
You know,
These Brussels sprouts have been slightly sautéed in Napa organic olive oil. The garlic comes from the Central Valley.
And the Eric Castro joke is that they get so quiet towards the middle and end that you're like leaning.
Yeah, they get quieter as they go.
You can't even understand.
The salt was sourced from the Pacific Ocean, and
And I'm like, just give me the.
so it was
Right.
that,
Like it's chicken.
but for drinks.
Yeah,
so
it's
it was
chicken.
fun. It was a fun little experience. I had the best drink I've had in my entire life.
You remember it?
So I got like 4 times. I don't remember what it was called, but it was essentially
the
an
spirit?
old-fashioned with maple syrup in it, and it was dope.
So it
as
was
fuck.
They
bourbon.
used something. Something was smoky in it too, though. There was some smoke.
Bacon.
in it.
Was there bacon?
I don't remember. What
Was it like High West's?
No,
bourbon?
it wasn't a flavored bourbon. It was a straight bourbon, but something else they were putting into it. It was
I don't
really
remember.
delicious.
It was really good though.
Because they make those
Really
old
damn good.
fashions with the maple syrup at Yardbird, that random place in Vegas that we go to.
Yeah.
Yardbird.
Yardbird.
Yeah, it was. They were better than that. They were different than that. They were delicious.
Yeah, I love a good craft cocktail.
It was tiki night. Gia kept getting crazy.
It was.
She got a little a killer whale drink. They came in a killer whale
Yeah, like a
thing.
Shamu thing.
Yeah.
It was
We
dope.
got hammered.
Those little
Kevin's trying to
umbrellas.
catch me looking at myself.
That's great.
Every
I love
time,
it.
every
I
time he
love
sees me
it.
look down over to the monitors, he cuts and I have to look away. Because Tim
job,
fucking
Kevin.
chastised me for doing that.
So then we went to Chicago.
Yeah.
My first time.
Right.
That was a lot of fun.
You've never been to Chicago before.
Never been to Chicago, so we're in the taxi. Longest trip from the airport to the hotel.
They
that
made sure they
I've
didn't put
ever had.
O'Hare close, and they made sure that there's traffic.
My God, it was bad. But then as we're going in, I'm like, oh my God, we're in Batman Begins.
Yeah.
We are in Gotham City right now.
Skagan.
This is crazy.
Skagan.
You got to go through Lower Wacker. You got to see everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
you've seen the L running above you.
It was cool.
Yeah, got to go to the Shy
That was
Theater.
fun. That was when Kevin and I joined this leg of the
No,
trip.
not yet, because what we did when we went there,
Oh,
of
right.
course,
I
is that we were
apologize.
super smart and said, what do I need to feed Tim now that he's here in Chicago, my hometown? And of course, it's Chicago pizza. And what's the one Chicago pizza I recommend all the time? Giordano's. And
Lou
of course,
Maggiano's.
there's a Giordano's right around the corner from the hotel we were all staying at. Brilliant. So we went over there,
It's
sat
so
down,
funny too.
45 minutes.
That email and
just
text that you
chilled out.
sent me, where it's like, Nick, we're gonna be here. You should totally try this. I'm from Chicago. Definitely make sure you.
How
do
many
this.
times do I have
Would
to
be
talk
great.
about Giordano's? How many
You've
times?
talked about it maybe 3 times.
Fuck
In the
you.
10
You're
years
such a
we've
piece
known
of
each
shit.
other.
You're a
You talk about
scumbag.
Pachi's all the time, which by the way, I guess they have.
'Cause
it
it's
too,
here.
Right? Is there one there? Or
That's
there's
in
one in
Denver.
Denver.
Yeah. So we go out and we go there and we're having a great time. It's you, me, and Gia. My mom comes and joins us. We sit down. You're having a Coke. We're having some water.
God forbid you
And
waited
I
for Nick and Kevin.
and
An
I
hour
said-
later, who
we
were
were
gonna show up.
starving. You were way later.
way
than
later.
an hour.
4
You were
o'clock
way
in the
later than an
afternoon.
hour. It was not.
We showed up at 5.
No, you did not. You landed at
I landed
5:45.
and Tim was like, "We ate, or we already ate." It was 1 minute ago. We just finished. It was 1 hour. You guys could have waited another hour. Would have been
finished
there.
How long did it take you to get
hour
from the
ago for a
airport there?
45-minute
Hour.
deep dish.
Yeah,
It was
exactly.
about an hour.
A little
You
bit
guys could
longer.
have. It was like 6 o'clock when we got in. Perfect time for any human being to eat dinner. Whatever time you guys.
You guys
got
got
like
down there at
3.
7 o'clock. Yeah.
The only reason that I wanted to go to Chicago is so that I can have the pizza you like with you.
It's just funny that you guys are bumbling idiots who couldn't put this together. Because I would have gladly come out with you that night still. I would have sucked it up and come out. But instead
No,
what
you
happens is
didn't. No,
we get there.
we got
I know
there.
it's going to be 45 minutes. Being the smart puppy I am. I'm going to say puppy. The smart puppy I am. I say, we'll have the stuffed Chicago pizza. You need to have one of these. I mean, again, Pachi's I think is pretty close. Am I wrong?
No, you're completely
Right.
correct.
And that's why I like Pachi so much. It's so much like Giordano's. We just do pepperoni sausage there.
Mm-hmm.
But then I order us a thin crust pizza with Italian beef on it.
Sweet baby Jesus.
Because that's the pizza I miss. So many, you can get Portillo's shipped here, let alone the one down in Anaheim. I get Portillo's pretty frequently for somebody who doesn't live in Chicago. Pizza wise, if I want a Chicago pizza, I can get Pachi's. It's great. Everything's fantastic. But the one thing nobody does out here on this coast is Italian beef on pizza.
Mm-hmm.
So I order this for you and you eat it. And what do you think?
That was the best thing. The best pizza I've ever had, I think. It was so good. Here's the thing. I wish we got the deep dish with the Italian beef. The Italian beef is the key element of this whole thing. Because
Yeah.
Portillo's is like its own kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Where that's on its own element. I don't even want to compare that to anything else.
Sure.
Be it sandwiches or burgers or whatever. I don't
Right.
know. Hot dogs. I don't care. Portillo's is just Portillo's.
Yeah.
It is fantastic. but somehow this pizza kind of tasted like it. And that's all I want. Yesterday from Sub Center and NSF, which I love Sub Center, they're great. But I got the Italian combo. I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
This is some garbage.
Yeah.
They're not even trying to make it taste right.
One question. It was the Chicago style pizza that you had, obviously, with the Italian beef on it?
The thin crust.
Oh, okay, thin crust. I was
Yeah.
going to say, there's no way that it could be. You could have one of those fork and knife pizzas and it'd be the best pizza you ever had in your life. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay.
Thank you.
But I feel like it would have been. Had we
It
done
wouldn't
that.
have. No, it wouldn't. That's why I didn't waste the Italian beef on that. I didn't want to burn you out on Italian beef.
I don't think I could have been.
Why?
man.
That would have been helpful to know beforehand when I ordered. You should have
Well,
stepped in.
I didn't realize. I didn't know that was the thing that I love so much. I
Sure.
didn't realize that it was the beef that I craved and needed.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Now I know.
When
Now
you
I
put
know.
it inside the stuffed pizza, I think it waters it down to an extent. It's when it's there, right there, is bread and cheese and everything.
I still want to try it though.
Okay.
I said we go back to Chicago.
I agree. We should go back to
down.
Chicago sometime.
Kevin
But
won't have it,
then
though.
the Moron twins come in.
So we come in not knowing what's going on, and I'll be honest with you, we ran into a group of Funhouse people who were also going out with a group of RT people. Bethany was there. A bunch of people were there, and they were like, "Hey, we're going to Pequot's." Am I saying that right? Does that sound right? Yeah. Which is a great pizza
Well known,
place.
yeah, well
this
known.
place sounds great. I was like, cool. This is probably good because Greg and Tim didn't feel like being our friends that day. That's fine. That's cool. I'm stuck with Kevin. Not a big deal. Do I want to swallow this fucking mug and end it all? Not yet. Kevin and I were actually having a pretty good time. So we go, cool, we're going to go out. Now, I broke my cardinal rule, and this is where you were right, okay? When you don't have a reservation at a place, and it is Thursday night in a place like Chicago, okay, there is a threshold of people that you can go out with and expect to actually eat in any manner of like decent time period. 12 people well beyond that threshold, right? So of course we show up and someone's like, well, it's a little bit of a wait. And I'm like, well, how much is a little bit of a wait? And they said 90 minutes. And I'm like, that's not a wait, that's a movie. We could go see a movie right now. No. So they're like, well, where can we go? And of course the next answer, no matter what, is inevitably going to be bad. Again, Thursday night, 12 people, any place that you could just walk into and sit down, probably not going to be good. We got the opposite of an experience of what you guys got. We got horrible service. They forgot to put in our food at some point, or there was a paper jam. It took us an hour and a half anyway to get the food. That was terrible. It was a paper jam. The woman was like, I'm so sorry. I don't know where your food is. Let me go check. Came back like 40 minutes later and was like, oh, you know what? I checked. And the paper jammed back there. The guy didn't even know. There was a chef sitting back there, smoking reefer, fucking hanging out in Chicago, and they're talking about how cool it was when they shot that Dark Knight film, or whatever the fuck they do back there. No, he was a hardworking guy, but he totally fucked up our order. Once he got the order, it was out pretty quickly, but it wasn't good. The salad was terrible that I got. And again, we're in like a sports bar. The guy's like, I think the bartender was like, we serve food? Oh, okay, I guess I'll dust off one of those menus and give it to you guys. But then we came home. And we were tired.
Well, again, because you drove, like, how far away was it?
Oh, it was like, again, another 40 minutes, or like 30 minutes away. No, it wasn't that bad. 15 minutes. 15
Literally
minutes.
around the corner, Giordano's just waiting for you.
Didn't
with
know that.
all
Didn't
these-
know that.
All you
Now,
do is maybe text me. You know I'm from
If it
Chicago.
were Lou Magdalanos,
I fucking hate you.
then I would have gone to it. But Giordano's, whatever, it doesn't really matter, right? So then we're about to go to bed, and I'm like, I got a lot of energy because I had like 50 Diet Cokes this thing because we were waiting for our food for like an hour and a half. I'm like, I'm just gonna go for a little walk, go down to the river, and see what's up. And I ended up walking around the city for about 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like maybe all told about 2.5 hours. Walked all the way down the river, all the way down to like a little bay area. Came back, walked through Gawker. But is that something?
Lower Gawker,
Lower
yeah.
Gawker. I'm like, is this where they filmed The Dark Knight? That cool scene with the rocket launcher and the
Yeah,
tumbler
yeah.
and all that stuff. It's a really cool city. Like at first when you're driving into Chicago, I was like, this looks exactly like Manhattan. It's gonna be the same experience. Night and day. Couldn't be a different vibe. Not that one's better or worse than the other one, but it's just a really weirdly laid out city. There's a river that runs through half of it. It's kind of like built on levels where like all of a sudden you'll look up, you're like, there's a train above me.
Yeah.
But before that I was underground with the mole people for a little bit on Gawker Street. But I had a good time walking around there. And then I came back, got a terrible night's sleep as I always do the first night in hotels. And then we got up the next day. And what did we do the next morning?
We went to the meet and greet at Portillo's.
That's right. Great meet and greet. Finally met
Nick
the
Scarpino.
real Nick Scarpino.
At Nick Scarpino, not
At Nick
at Nick
Scarpino.
_Scarpino.
It's an underscore guy.
The real Nick Scarpino who works
Doesn't know
marketing
what
at
he's doing,
Portillo's.
yeah.
Gave us all sorts of stuff. We
Really
got
nice
Frisbees
guy.
and new bowls for Portillo.
But
Great
most
glasses.
importantly,
Most importantly,
your
I got
picture.
the highest honor anyone. Really, Kevin? Like, you're gonna hang on Tim that long while I speak. This is why you couldn't get pizza. This is why you couldn't get pizza. You can't follow instructions. You've scared off Colin. I hope you're happy.
The monitor being there might need to go. It's too much fun.
We just make each other laugh
Skycam.
looking at it. If you're listening to the MP3, we're looking at the Skycam. No, don't go in my water.
I didn't touch it.
I got the highest honor anyone from Chicago can
the
get.
Academy Awards of the restaurant industry.
And got to sign my own headshot and put it up at Portillo's.
It's great.
So now I'm on the wall with such stars as Jim Belushi,
Dom DeLuise,
Bob Surratt.
Tina Turner.
You're making up people. These are not people who are on the Portillo's wall. You're offending me and everyone who should.
You don't think Dom DeLuise is at a Portillo's wall somewhere?
No, I do
Dom
not
DeLuise,
think
I guarantee, is on
he
a
is
Portillo's wall.
not on a Portillo's wall.
If
anyway.
John Belushi's on the wall,
Jim Belushi.
If Jim Belushi's on the wall,
Yeah.
Then Dom DeLuise has to be. On
I
the
don't
wall.
think he has a Chicago
Him and Burt
connection. I think that
Reynolds.
might be one of the problems.
Burt Reynolds.
That's what he used to do.
It was a great meet and greet at
Yeah,
Portillo's.
shout out to Kaylee and Zyger for helping put that thing together.
Yeah.
It went off really well, and it was fun. Meet and greets, they're always fun, but some are more fun than others, just in terms of like the space and how it's set up. And I think that one was really conducive to good conversations with people.
Well,
and kind
Portillo's
of-
was nice enough to give us the meeting room upstairs or whatever,
Yeah.
so we could just chill out and do it.
You mean
and it
the
was cool
entire
because
upper
there was
level of the restaurant?
a
Yes.
lot of people there, but it felt manageable. And I think because we had so much space and it was closed off to us, that
Yeah.
we got to talk to everybody, take pictures with everyone,
Yeah.
and like have in-depth conversations with people that wanted them. So it was fun.
And then we went and did Let's Play Live at the
We
Chicago
did.
Theater.
And Let's Play Live was awesome, man.
That was a
Let's Play
great one.
Live. I mean, it was the second one we've done. We did one in LA at the Dolby Theater out in LA, and then this one now at the Chicago Theater. Very similar shows, but I feel like this one was a bit tighter. Everybody that was there seems to have the same feedback.
Fewer groups too. That's one of the things, right? Like we're not doing the New York Let's Play Live, but everyone was at LA Let's Play Live, so there's fewer slots, more things happening.
Yeah, so Screw Attack and
Couch Hop.
weren't at this one, so it gave us all a bit more time to be featured and kind of. It was a bit more intimate, and it was a lot more fun too because I feel like all the groups learned from the first one.
Yeah.
And in terms of like what works and what doesn't work for the interstitials
Sure.
or for the actual games we play. And I thought it was the energy was really good. We got to do a lot of cool things. The Nintendo World Championship happened,
Which I won again.
He did.
I
win
retained.
again. But,
Fair and square. Fair and
retained
square.
it.
Oh, fair. Yeah, very fair and
Fair
square.
and square.
The story out of that in terms
Yeah.
of our professional wrestling thing, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because we're having fun up there, we're yucking it up. I win, of course. But when it got too real was at the end. When I shoved an extra hot pepper in your mouth, won the competition. Then while I was celebrating, you shoved 2 more in my mouth.
Yeah.
At which point I spit them out onto Kevin. When I'm doing this in a professional wrestling way of I don't want to actually hurt him, I'm not trying to. I tried to go over him a little bit and just got him all over the neck. So it
Yeah.
was like one of those dinosaurs that got Newman in Jurassic Park. Going, and just spitting fire all over Kevin's neck.
Well,
And it
so
could have
it's-
gone, and it burned. He burned.
Oh, he burned for a
and
long time.
it literally, if I would have gone 3 inches the other way, I blind Kevin. I
Yeah.
blind Kevin for a good
Forever.
45
that would have
minutes.
been
So you see,
horrifying.
You see,
probably
So
horrifying.
what you're saying is you would have taken what is arguably the most nimble of creatures on this planet and turned him into a person who just ping pongs off of things. That's what
on a
I'm saying.
stage.
Nothing would have.
had to
Nothing
get
would
a
have
little
changed.
stick, the little
They were-
walking stick.
they were
Nothing would have
habaneros?
changed. Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, you would have been fucking dead.
Well, so that was
If that went your eye.
peeling, back the curtain a little bit here. So we decided, like, right before we went on, we were like, all right, we're doing a Grand Prix. Let's do it so that whoever's winning at the end of the third round or whatever, the loser is going to take an extra habanero and shove it in the other guy's mouth
Right.
to kind of
Didn't-
like make it more entertaining or
Right.
whatever.
I didn't know this was happening, by the way.
However,
We like to work out our bits. And keep
No,
you
I'm
on
glad
your
because
toes.
I was an fair and impartial ref. That's how we know that Greg fair and square won the
fucking
competition.
hate
Do your
so
job.
much.
Raise it
so
up. Raise
so
it-
we
no.
decided to do this. I'm using the gamepad. He's using a pro controller.
Stop molesting me.
And while
Smooth
while
skin.
we were up there,
moisturize.
our thing took a little bit longer than our segment was
Yeah.
supposed to be. So Jack tells Nick to just cut it after the third.
Yeah,
round.
best of 3. We went from Grand Prix to best of 3.
So instead, Greg's like, all right, you tell Greg to we're just gonna do that, whatever. Greg won the first round. I won the second,
second
round,
round.
which left us tied in terms of
Perfect.
points, exactly tied. So
Cinderella
Greg took the liberty to just grab the peppers and run over and get me. I didn't realize it was happening at that time, but I fucking ran with it. But then, as I'm on the floor rolling around, my gamepad just dies.
Literally does.
Wii U.
So not only do I have 2 habanero peppers now in me, which was fucking horrifying, by the way. I don't know why we keep doing this. But then my gamepad dies, and I'm like, great. And Kevin's over here running around he was the milk boy.
Yeah.
Just with his fucking cartons of milk. And I'm like, oh,
He's got them
man.
jugs.
Kevin's got big jugs.
Kevin got them
Big
jugs.
milk jugs Kevin's got.
I'll say this. I'm very proud of us for that. We I think, aside, we joke about how much this is a garbage truck on fire because 9% of the time it's 100% true. But occasionally we'll pull it together and actually put a little entertainment or a little entertaining segment together for the audience.
We'll entertain you once in a while.
Every once in a while, maybe one out of 100. This was really fun though. I didn't know what we were doing going into this.
You rarely do.
Well, I knew we were doing Mario Kart, but I didn't know the full extent of the shtick. I didn't realize you were bringing the ref outfit. I didn't know I had to go up on stage and introduce everyone. I was a little nervous ahead of time. I don't know if you saw me pacing back and forth, because it's one thing to talk to people that come to a panel or best friends that come to a panel because I feel like I know these guys. It's a different thing to go out in front of an audience of 3,000 people who may or may not know who you are and try to make them like you. And so I think, to our credit, we were able to do that, and I'm extraordinarily proud of all of us, including Big Kev Dog out there.
Big Kev Dog,
who came out and played the towel / milk boy / fluffer. Was he a fluffer? No, hot pepper guy.
Yeah.
Brought out the hot peppers.
No, it was an
fun.
amazing crowd. I got they were super behind us. That was the thing. For the LA one, they were a Funhouse audience, and I'm not even including Achievement Hunter and / Rooster Teeth people. They were behind them, obviously. Yeah. But they were Funhouse Pro, and so we got to play the heels there, whereas we were faces here. Like people loved us here. And when I got to come out and give the speech, and that place went crazy, and then we went into the Pokemon, sing along or whatever. They were awesome. So thank you, Chicago, for taking care of us.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I wish we could be doing the New York one, but I'm sure we'll be back in a different place.
Sure.
Sometime in 2017. So
then we finished that, and then we went to do the meet and greet, the VIP thing. That went until like 12:30 in the morning.
It took a while.
Yeah,
which is good. I'm glad we stayed. At a certain point, I was like, I'm so tired right now, and I've worked so hard over the last 4 weeks. Greg, I think I'm just gonna go. And I saw in your eyes, you're like, if he says it one more fucking time, I'm gonna throw.
I told you to your face the next day. I was like, if you would have said it one more time, I would have get the fuck out of here and leave.
But
then the Moron twins try to get food again. How'd
Nick,
that go?
what fine establishment did we go get food at?
The same that I got
morning.
food at the night before when I was hungry again. It's a fine. I think the French call it 7-Eleven.
Meanwhile, when Tim and I broke away from the Moron twins, I went to bed right away. Who'd you run into?
Jeremy.
And Jeremy's like,
Achievement
oh,
Hunter.
my wife's bringing all this pizza.
My wife's bringing pizza to the lobby if you want some. And I was so tired. I just want to go to sleep. But Gio has been drinking classic Gio. She's like, I'm so hungry right now. I need food. I'm like, all right, I'm going to get you food. And then we walking out, and I knew we were going to end up somewhere bullshit. And this guy just comes with pizza. And I'm like, yeah. So we go, and all of us just hang out and have a great old time in the lobby.
Worked out
pizza.
for you on that one.
Meanwhile,
thanks again for the text. I don't know if maybe your phone's not working. That you're not sending us these text messages.
You guys had already walked back with your multiple bags of 7-Eleven.
And by the way, there was two 7-Elevens within a block away from each other. Kevin's like, should we just go to this one? I was like, yeah, I guess so. How bad could it be? It was by far the more inferior of the 7-Elevens. All that I could find to eat that looked anywhere close to fresh was one packet of beef jerky and some pork rinds. That was pretty much it. And I got halfway through the bag of pork rinds. I was like, I don't like pork rinds that much. These are disgusting, and they're upsetting my stomach.
They're not good
so
at
we got
all.
no sleep, woke up and went to Denver.
Yeah.
For PlayStation Road
I
to
watched
Greatness.
Pretty Woman on TV.
You were
was
so
fun.
tired you watched Pretty Woman.
The night before.
Okay.
But I wanted to give a shout out. And make
Oh,
sure
if we're giving
people
shout
know.
outs to stuff we didn't talk about. We got fucking wasted with Gia and her friend in Austin that final night.
Oh, yeah, that was
and it
fun.
snuck up on us to where
Yeah.
we kept
All
going.
right, we
bar to
can't go
bar.
back 2 cities now. Let's keep
Nick
the story
jumped ahead to
moving
the
forward.
very end.
I thought we wanted to tell the story in excruciating detail. I'm sorry. Were we not doing that? Were we not doing that? I'll shut up.
PlayStation Road to Greatness in Denver then.
Fun. Am I
Yeah, it
allowed
was
to say
great.
that
That was
what I
great
played there?
Yeah, of course.
The Batman VR game?
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, did you enjoy
That was
it?
super fun. I did. I enjoyed the shit out of that. That was fun.
I enjoyed watching you play it.
Yeah, you guys made fun of me. You're like, he can't hear us. Look at how dumb he looks. He can't hear us.
It was so
Hey,
much-
Nick, can you hear us? I'm like, I hear every fucking word you're saying.
It wasn't
You're
that.
asshole.
It was Nick. It was Nick.
No,
Give me
Kevin's
a
like,
cup.
he's
Give me
so
a
stupid.
cup.
Look how stupid he looks.
Give me it. There's a part where there's a piano and you're supposed to hit the keys and there's a phone. But watching Nick, and again, I'm not even making fun of you as much as it's making fun of anyone playing VR and doing this stuff.
You look like an
but
idiot.
watching him in real life, it's like this is play piano, trying to figure it out,
Constantly picking up the phone.
and then there was a phone. It
was
and he
awesome.
just goes. It was just like so
Like 7 times. It was
yeah.
great.
You can put it in time.
Because whatever event that was supposed to trigger when I got to the
Yeah.
piano, I'm like, oh, a grand piano. Clearly, I'm here. I'm supposed to look at it and explore it. I assumed that when I opened up the key cover or whatever it is to the piano, that it would trigger the event. Nothing happened. So I was like, okay, clearly I have to do something else. Like I thought I was going to turn the key and the whole thing was going to go down. Right? Nothing happens. Like maybe I have to pick up the phone. Maybe that's what I was looking for. The head.
Yeah.
That you could tilt back
yeah,
and hit the button and it would go. Nothing. And then, but also you have to realize that when you're in it, the hands are like like here.
Yeah.
So when you're doing stuff, you have to exaggerate the moves a little bit so you can actually see where your
Yeah.
hands are in your peripherals. Because for marching band, I developed that amazing peripheral vision.
Oh, yeah.
10 years marching band, JW, John W. North High, Blue Star Regiment, what up? That I'm like, okay, I see everything, but I got to make sure I can see my hands. In the back of my mind, I'm also hearing this. Look, he's so stupid. Look how stupid he is. Hey, you guys want to get some pizza? You guys get pizza later? Lou Maggiano's?
Oh, that's not even the same city. So we did that. Had a great PS I Love
It
You
was good.
XOXO. Had a
was
great
fun.
meet and greet. You were all fantastic in Denver. Thank you for that. Then we tried to go watch the UFC fight, and Buffalo Wild Wings
Didn't
would
work.
not have us.
Nope. Unfortunately, no slide against Buffalo Wild Wings. They were just packed, and people were camping out at their tables, as you do when you're getting ready for a 2.5 hour long fight. Came back to we had our mind set on wings, by the way.
Yeah, that was the worst part.
That was a hard
then
job.
we went to Yard House. We're like, well, we'll settle and get some wings
Get some
here.
Yard House wings, and the first thing she says was, "We're out of wings."
And I said, this night sucks because we
almost
almost
cried.
got killed by an Uber
Some
driver
guy
on the way
decided to
back.
drive us right down the train tracks toward
Yeah.
our death, and we were like, "Yo, just because you hate your life doesn't mean we have to hate ours." So that was horrible. And then we came home.
Yep.
And
we worked real hard, and then
the
we did a whole
great
bunch
thing
of crap.
is we had all weekend to just relax and like do nothing before like a nice casual Monday where we didn't have anything to do. No, we worked till fucking 1 o'clock in the morning Sunday, and then did a 12-hour live stream on Monday.
Yep.
Now here we are right now.
Yep.
Here we are right now.
out there. All right, this topic is sponsored by Squarespace. Whether you need a landing page, a beautiful gallery, a professional blog, or an online store, it's all included with your Squarespace website. Why should you use Squarespace? Well, first and foremost, we use them. When we started kindoffunny.com, Nick Scarpino went over to squarespace.com. He had no offer code. You have the offer code kindoffunny, so you get 10% off. Nick had none. He went in there and paid full price like a dope. Like just what are you doing, Nick? Why would you do that? Because clearly he could listen to any other podcast. I'm sure PewDiePie or somebody. Anyways, you go to squarespace.com and you use them because it's easy. Creating your website with Squarespace is a simple, intuitive process. You can add and arrange your content and features with the click of a mouse. You know about mouse, don't you, Kevin? Kevin know about mouse. Also, you get a free custom domain. Squarespace makes adding a domain to your site simple. If you sign up for a year, you'll receive a custom domain free for that year. It also has beautiful templates. Design a best-in-class online store with Squarespace award-winning templates, customizable settings, and more, all without a single plugin. So what are you waiting for, ladies and gentlemen? Kev click mouse. You can click mouse too. Go over to squarespace.com and use the offer code kindafunny to get 10% off your first purchase. Nick, what's your topic?
Our topic comes from Patreon. Ooh. From Miss Movies, our friend Miss Movies,
Okay.
whom I podcasted with. You guys should totally check that out on our YouTube channel. Let me look this up. Greg, she says, nope. Topic 2. I love movies and have been podcasting about them for almost 10 years now. So I recently saved up money to do a ridiculously extravagant photo session where I remade iconic 1980s movie stills as accurately as possible. You guys should check that out on Twitter. She remade the Kelly LeBrock shot from Weird Science.
Oh, really?
Where she's standing in the doorway. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Shortly after the photo session, I opened up a savings account so I could put some money aside each month in the hopes of being the 5th best friend on the GameOverGreggy show. Sometime September, October, mark my words, this is happening. What is something that you guys have saved up for? How long did it take you, and was it worth it? Or was it the first thing what was the first thing you remember saving up for? The first thing I saved up for was a clamshell VHS of The Little Mermaid when it first released on
wow.
home video. Thanks, guys. Love, Brienne. At Miss Movies, by the way. What are some of the things you guys have saved up? What ridiculous things that you've saved up for? Because as you know, I'm a saver, but I don't ever actually spend the money.
don't spend the money?
No.
I mean, mine is PlayStation 2. That was my first adult purchase.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was the first time
That's
where...
an expensive purchase for someone. back
Yeah,
then.
I would have been... I was going into... Yeah, I was in my senior year of high school.
Mm-hmm.
So the summer before it, I got a job at Walmart as a cashier. And I remember telling my mom, like... Yeah, because I had worked at Petland before.
Write all this stuff down. You writing this down?
I had worked at
Going in the
Petland
documentary.
before. The summer before. My first real job when I turned 16 or whatever.
Petland?
Yeah, Petland. And so then
Walmart.
the next one, I worked at Walmart because it'd be more money, better, more hours or whatever. And I remember telling my mom when I got that job that I was going to take the $300 or whatever the hell it was and buy a PlayStation with it in the fall and buy a bunch of DVDs and stuff. I was actually going to spend the money because the Petland thing, whatever. You're paying for gas and a pizza here and there, right? Maybe a game or whatsoever, but no big, not big expenses, not big things to worry about.
Sure.
This was my first like hundreds of dollars purchase where it was, and I hated the Walmart job so fucking much that on my lunch break I'd leave Walmart, go to Best Buy during the summer, buy the DVDs I wanted, then come back and sit in my car and listen to music and read the back of the DVDs, open them up and look at them, and then come home and put them on my shelf and just wait. Just wait
Why
for
didn't you
October
buy the
26th.
DVDs at Walmart? Did you get some sort of employee discount?
Yeah, but back then, if you probably don't remember, back then Walmart was very anal about what they would and wouldn't
yeah,
carry,
I
so
do
they didn't
remember.
have like Kevin Smith movies or anything like
A lot
that.
of people
That was
even had
for
to
sure.
re-record a lot of music to
Yeah,
get
exactly,
Walmart to
exactly.
carry
So
their
there was,
stuff.
yeah, they had a garbage selection of DVDs.
But
'cause
you-
DVDs were still so new at this point.
Sidebar: you were a cashier.
Yeah.
What was that like? I've always wondered
Awful.
what that would have
Terrible.
been like.
One
as a young
time,
man.
one time, I like 2 days in, I was like, all right, cool. And I reported my station. Like the manager came over and she was like, okay, can you go get carts or whatever? I'm like, I'm a cashier, not a cart person. She's like, I need you to go get carts. And I did it. I did that, and then like I did it, and it was awful. That was horrible. Like getting all these fucking carts and wrangling them out in the Chicago heat in the summer or whatever, being fat. And then like, so then she did it like 2 more times. On the third time, I was like, hey, heads up, I'm not gonna do that. And if you want to fire me, okay. And I never did it again. But no, it was the worst because people would come up and argue. And if you've known me long enough to know that I'm not good at math, so they'd always do that fucking thing where I'm like, all right, cool. This is the total. All right, they give me the money, and then I'd ring it up and get the numbers back, and they're like, oh, hold on, and they'd give me a nickel, and I'd be like, I don't even know what this is.
Give him a $50 bill every time.
Do I add this? Do I subtract it? What do I do with the
Yeah.
other number here?
Yeah.
And there was one time where it was going so bad. I was having such a long day. This woman got there, and I had a line of like 9 people. I had a line of like 9 fucking people. And I get there, and she gives me like her Planters nuts, and I scan them. And she's like, oh, no, those are on sale for whatever they're. I'm like, no, they're not. No, they're not. And she's like, no, they are. There's a sign over there. I swear. And I'm like, how much does it say? And she's like, it's like $2 off. You know what I mean? And I'm like, no. You can see right. I keep pointing to the little thing. She's like, no, they really are on sale. I'm like, all right. And I turned off my light and told everyone in line, I'll be right back. And I just left my register unattended in the middle of a sale. And I marched over there. I'm like, where are these fucking, I'm like, here's the nuts. And there's no sign. She's like, right here. I'm like, those are those nuts. These aren't those nuts. She's like, oh, walk back, scan the motherfuckers, put them in the bag. It's like, I'm not giving you $2 on this shit. Fuck you.
Damn, you were dedicated.
I was, yeah, and I lied through my teeth to get that job. Oh my God, because I was like totally
You were
like,
qualified, I'm
I was
sure.
like, hey, I wanted this job and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, we don't want to hire just summer help. So like, you got to stay on after, when school starts up. I'm like, oh yeah, totally. Summer ended. I was like, fuck this. bought ECW Hardcore Revolution or whatever on PS1. I was like, peace. I'm going to play this the rest of the summer, you idiots.
Yeah.
You dorks. I got what I need. I can afford a PlayStation 2 here in a little bit.
I feel like I need to know more about your Walmart travels, but we're going to keep your experiences,
That
but we're
needs
going
to
to
be
keep
like
that.
first. Have we done first jobs or like shitty worst jobs?
Probably. The other thing about it was that the fact that I was under 18, so they had to come on the loudspeaker at like, I forget, like 10:30 or whatever. Like, if you're under 18, you have to leave because otherwise they would just work you to death,
Curfew,
putting
yeah.
shit back on or whatever
Really?
shelves. Yeah.
I don't think they do that.
I,
here.
um,
They don't give a
They do in
fuck.
California.
I,
They're supposed to. They probably don't.
I do like the idea of you just telling the woman that we're not going to do it.
Not gonna do these carts anymore. You gotta do what you gotta do. Went back to my register, turned on the light.
God, that's genius.
And then she didn't say anything. There was
she's
no
like,
back and forth.
No. I mean, like, cause I'm what 17. She's probably 20, 21. You know what I mean? She's like the
gives you
cashier
less
manager.
fucks than you.
And she's like, I don't fucking. What am I gonna do? Was it worth busting this fat kid's balls over this thing? No. But it's funny. Like those are literally the Walmart memories. Can't really reach back and give you anything else. I had to wear that blue smock for a summer and do that.
Did you have a sign that said Greg with like a little with the smiley
yeah,
face?
of course you did. Oh my God, yeah, the classic one. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
do you have it
totally.
still?
No.
I want to get like
no.
a picture. Nick, I need you to do this when we film it.
Sure.
Zooming in very slowly on it for like 30 seconds as
The Walmart?
as Greg tells a story about how he used to get shopping carts out in the summer heat.
Oh, I love that.
Really slow pan on
It's just
we'll
like
get
almost
a
imperceptible because it takes so long.
right, exactly.
But before you know it, you're in his eyes.
Right, exactly.
In the eyes of a madman.
They're just red. But yeah, I was saving up the PS2. Then when it came around, I hadn't gotten a pre-order in time at Funkoland, so I had to wait in line for 9 hours at a Meijer with Adam Brown, and I was the first person in line. I was always very proud of that. And I had a money belt that I had from a France trip where I had it all in cash, of course. Because what am I gonna do? I didn't have a credit card or anything like that, debit card back in the day. So I just had, whatever, $450 in cash tucked away, stuck to my sweaty body for 9 hours while I sat there reading that EGM that was blue on the cover that I love so much. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I still have that issue.
Me too.
It's a good issue.
Tim,
Yeah.
what are some things you saved up for?
I've told variations of this story before, but the first Q&5 mega show I ever went to, which is the Tone Deaf's equivalent to Kind of Funny Live, they were always in New York, but they decided to do one in 2007 in LA. I was too young. I was 16 at the time, so I never was able to go to New York, but I'm like, LA, I got to make that happen. If they're coming all the way across the country, I need to find a way to do the 6-hour drive or whatever. So I was like, I need to get down there. I need my brother to get down there, who's younger than me. And I was like, we got to figure this all out. But it's going to cost a lot of money. I think we're going to need probably $600 total for tickets and merch and travel and hotel and this and that, whatever. A lot of my other friends wanted to come too, like Alfredo and my friend Curran and all of them. So I'm like, all right, we got to do this. They all had money. They were all fine. Me, no money then. So I was like, how am I going to get money? And as you guys know, I'm really good at asking people for money. So pre-Patreon,
Very good.
I was like, I'm just going to ask the internet for money. I was really ahead of my time when you think about it. So I was on MySpace and I had a bit of a following there.
How many people?
20,000.
Oh, wow, that's
something
really
like
good.
that.
Damn, yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna ask them for money because that makes sense to me. So I made this whole campaign to Coinstar Tim's Way from the Bay to LA. People like little rhymes and stuff.
Yeah, of course they do.
And I made images for it, like promo images, using my crazy ass Photoshop skills back in the day. It's really
They've
crazy.
gotten-
Telling the story right now just sounds like things that I was doing last night to prep for the stream.
Yep.
So I did that. And there was this whole image and stuff, and then I made like 4 different variations for each of my friends. We all made our MySpace profile pictures. So our top 8s were just like ridiculously promotional. It was like, really, really
Choice.
good. So, because I decided that everybody has the coin things in their house that have all the pennies and quarters and nickels
Sure.
and dimes and stuff. I was like, and if no one uses them, no one actually wants to go to the Coinstar and do it. It's like just one of those lazy things, like you guys talking about selling your GI Joes. You're never gonna fucking sell your GI Joes.
To be fair, I have a bag and I still go to the Coinstar.
You
I've done it.
are
I used to
rare
look forward
breed.
to that when the bag was just at a certain. I was like, I bet there's at least $5 in here.
Yeah.
It's time. We gotta make a day out of it. Starbucks before and
I
after.
get it. Before and after. Classic Nick
So
Day.
you're losing like $15
Cost
on
me
the
$17.
transaction.
But it's okay.
So we do this whole thing, and then I convince Alfredo to drive me around to all these different people's houses in the Bay Area that are going to allow me to just take their big coin buckets.
Nice.
And I took all the coin buckets and went to Coinstar, and we made over $1,000.
Wow.
From random people's money, and it was really great because we got to go down there, and because we had extra money, I got to go to Disneyland for the first time.
Wow.
So it was pretty much the best weekend of my life, and it was entirely paid for by people on the internet, and it was awesome.
That's awesome.
Can you imagine the people's face at Albertsons when I walk in with a shit ton of coins?
What did you put
and
them
I'm
all
just
in?
fucking. What do you mean?
Like, did you
carry
take
it?
their
it was
jugs too, or
oh,
did you
it
have
was
like
in
one?
a whole bunch of. It was like the big boxes, like a ton of boxes.
Gotcha.
Because there was a lot, and they were heavy.
Did you
I needed
choke
help.
out this machine? There's got
Yeah, you had. There was a strategy, and it was one of those things you had to be sensitive with it. You know what I mean? There's an art to finessing that girl. You just gotta like make sure you're putting it in really nice, and then you just kind of like
Otherwise, she bucks up on
do
you.
one of these.
Yeah.
You know, you got to pull that thing up, but then
Yeah,
also
pull up the
jiggle
thing.
in.
But like you
It's
didn't
a
you didn't
multitasking
fill this
experience.
Coinstar thing.
No, it was little by little. It took about an hour to get it all through. I mean, it's a lot of coins.
Yeah.
A lot of them were pennies too. We got a lot of cheap motherfuckers out there.
Well, pennies are stupid.
Yeah. So anyway, I put good use to them, and it was a great trip, and it was totally worth it. But that was the first time I really saved for something. And
Gotcha.
instead of saving, I kind of just asked people for money and panhandled
All right.
in a very different way.
Smart.
Colin.
Smart.
I was actually. It's funny because it's. I'm like really great with money as an adult. I've like basically hoarded money since I've since I started working at IGN, and that was like out of a fear of like not. I had a real fear always of like not being able to sustain myself out here for a couple of years. Really, when I first moved here, I didn't even really unpack for a year because I assumed I didn't want to jinx myself, and I assumed that like I was just gonna not.
Have you unpacked?
Not yet. I've been here for 10 years, but I still haven't unpacked.
Still a couple boxes.
But like there was like 2007 and 2008, like I didn't even really like make this a home for myself because I was like, well, I'm eventually obviously gonna get fired or something and have to go back, so I might as well. So I made nothing when I started at IGN. I made a very low salary as you do when you start out, and I tried to make it work, and I really lived on a shoestring budget and started to really save a lot of money as the years went on because that made me feel good. And that's funny to me, and it made me feel safe, right, and secure, which is funny because when I was a kid, I had utter disregard for like saving money at all. Like, I used to like do before I had my first job. My first job when I was 14 was I was like a stable boy basically. I would like clean stables out and shit like that, and it was like awesome actually. But because I used to just ride horses and hang out with my friends.
What? No one else? You knew about this?
Yeah, he's talked about this show before.
Riding horses? Don't
Being a
think so.
stable boy.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to
What
like.
did you think? He was terrified of the horses there? He didn't touch them? I
I
know for a
think-
fact that's come up in
People
that.
own the fucking horses.
Why
You can't
did I
just
get
ride
why
random
did I
horses.
get just a picture of you riding horses shirtless like Putin? Like, why did that just pop in my brain?
I wish I was. Well, the place that we were, I don't remember the name of it anymore. My good friend, his mom owned a horse at this place. And so she kept him there. And then she kind of had like some clout there. So she got us all jobs and they'd pay us like basically $25 a day to like just go and like literally walk a horse to an empty stall, clean that stall up, move that horse back in, move the next horse to the empty stall, clean that. Like it took like hours and hours. But it was fun. And then at the end of the day, like it was like my friends were there. There were like girls there our age that also worked there. We used to just like all hang out and have a good time. And they had like a bunch of horses that were like basically owned by the stable. Like, and I used to ride this horse. I still have this horse named Diamondback. I used to call him Dimebag. And
You're so cool.
Which was funny when you were 14.
Still dime bagging?
Still fun.
What's a dime bag again?
I don't know. It was a term I heard from music, but that was my first job, and that's when I started making money. But I would accumulate the money, and then just basically I needed $70 to buy an N64 game, so I'd save $70, and then I'd go to the mall and spend it, and then I'd have no money again, or I'd have enough to like go to McDonald's or something after that with my friends, and then I'd be out of money, and then I would identify I want to go to the movies, so I'd be like, Dad, can I mow the lawn? And you go, all right, here, give me $20 bill, and then I'd be like, all right, that's enough, and then I'd go to the movie and buy a ticket and like popcorn and Coke and then be out of money. Like that's how I lived my life, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17
that's
years
how
old.
I think a lot of kids do.
Yeah.
And just no, and it's when I was even younger, like I would do odd jobs or like mow lawns and weed gardens and stuff like that. And then like buy hockey cards or video games or hockey shit. Like I look back on that just as an aside, and I'm like, I would have tens of thousands of dollars probably if I didn't waste it on
Mistakes were
all
made.
of this
But
bullshit.
But it was worth it.
Kid stuff.
It made you who you
It's
are. What's
life.
really funny about it is that's I think we all experienced that, where I used to think of things not in terms of money, but in terms of action figures.
Yeah.
How many action figures?
Yeah,
is that?
exactly.
Then it reached a point. How many video games is that? Like up until like the college era, I was like, all right, if I work this many hours, I can get a game or two games or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, if you think about it, it's like when you're making money with like when you get to real salary numbers, it's like if you were thinking about video games, that's crazy.
So many video games. Oh my God, you can get
It's a
so
lot
many
of video
video
games.
games.
So in 8th grade, it was the first time I really started to try to like save my money like kind of consciously, but it didn't really work out that well. I had realized that I sold
Lost it
all,
all in some Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, I sold all my.
Already made up.
I sold most of my Super Nintendo games to buy my PS1 the year before, and I was like, that really sucked. Like, I don't want to do that again. So I remember having like these little jars, like a few jars in my room that I would like put money in like equally, and one was for like, and I remember being like, this is for Star Wars like toys, this is for books, this is for video games, like, and then I would like equally distribute, and I'm like, and then I remember specifically that the AT-AT came out in like 97 or whatever, or 98, and I was like, I just gotta buy it. So I just dumped it all into one jar and fucking went and bought it. So that didn't work out very well. The first big thing that I bought was when I worked at a deli, which I've talked about a million times. I saved up like a lot of money, like $700 or so, and bought a TV. And and I was like super stoked about that. But the funny thing about that is I worked at this deli, and the only reason I stopped working there was I broke my shoulder or my collarbone, and I couldn't work for a few months. And I remember going back. I had about $500 to my name at that point, which was the most money I ever had. And I remember going back a couple months later, and the woman that owned it, she was a nice woman. She was like, so do you want to like come back? Because like, it seems like you've been fine for like 3 weeks, you know, like you've literally like come in here, like walked to the back and like made a sandwich and left and shit, you know, like saying hello to some of the guys and then like just leaving. I'm like, I remember like in my mind, like a bubble came up and it's like, you have $500 sitting at home. And I'm like, no, I'm good. And I made that money last for like the rest of my senior year. Like, you know, I remember specifically,
awesome.
and I was so cutthroat about it, like and gung ho about it. I remember going to a laser tag place with my friends and paying $20. I was 16 years old, 17 years old, $20 for like the all night pass so we can all play. And it fucking sucked. We went in the first time when it like was terrible. People were like cheating and stuff like that. And I remember having this armband. I remember going back and I'd be like, dude, listen, like I want my money back. I'll pay you for the one game I played, which was like $6, but I want like the other, you know, the other $14 back or whatever. And I remember getting in this like argument with him, and I remember eventually he took the scissor and like cut it off and like gave my money back, and like didn't say anything to me. And I was like, that was how crazy I was about saving as much of this money as possible. And it wasn't until I was a landscaper when I went to Northeastern that that I actually like really started to save money. I remember reaching $1,000 and then $2,000 and then $3,000 for the first time, and I was like, this is incredible. I should have done this the whole time. But even then, I was a conspicuous consumer. Like I would buy. You know, I'd be selective sometimes, but often actually buy like I mean, that was when I bought scores of games a year. Right. I like 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004. I bought probably 200 plus games and didn't even open 2/3 of them because I was like, well, I have money and I don't need it. And then so I tried to learn those lessons when I was out here, and that's like why I'm like I feel good because I like have saved a lot of money to the point where I'm comfortable, like I can breathe, because I remember that tension I felt when I didn't have anything, so that's kind of the ironic thing. But I guess what you guys are saying is true, that a lot of kids are like that. So
Yeah, as a kid, you don't understand saving. I don't
care.
think. What was
I got
yours,
the rest
Nick?
of I have two that come to mind very quickly. One was when I bought my first car. I was in so much haste to buy it. My parents offered to buy me, and they gave me a limit. I think it was like $1,500 or $2,000, something like that. Which at the time I was like, "This is awesome! I can get any car I want." Turns out in 1996, you can't get any car you want. And the very first car, I was so eager to get a car. The first car I bought was the first one I looked at, which was a 1988 Honda Civic hatchback, 4-speed, sky blue. It was the ugliest.
dude, how many of those sky blue ones were out there? Those were so ubiquitous. It's so
God.
funny.
And I don't know why I bought it. I didn't even like the car very much. It drove like shit. I don't understand. And I was stuck with this car until my sophomore year of college. I drove it for 4 years, and I'm like, I hate this. It was the opposite of masculine. It didn't look. Every girl that got in was like, all right, I'm definitely not having sex with this guy. So when I got into college, I started working, and my parents were nice enough to still put me up in the dorms. And my mom's like, your freshman year, I want you to not have to go crazy. We have to get a job. That's the one thing. You have to go to class. You have to get a job, and I'll pay for your living expenses. And I'm like, great. Got a job. Turns out I had a little extra money. So I'm like, what am I going to do? My car, I don't like this car anymore, even though it ran flawlessly. I'm like, I just got to get rid of this car. And I remember it was my friend, I was taking a friend back. I'd like driven to class, and I was taking her back to the dorm. So we were driving, and she got in, and she's like, what? We were friends. And so she felt good enough to be like, yo, what's going on with this car? Like, what the fuck is happening with this thing? And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I got in my head. I'm like, I need a new car. I got to get a new car. So I started saving. And at the time, my buddy Stu was driving a Volkswagen Jetta VR6, which was a 6-cylinder. I think it had like 150 horsepower for a car that weighed nothing. It fucking hauled ass. And he like put rims on it, like blacked out all the windows. And this was a jet black, badass, like European sports car. And I'm like, I want one of those. The only one I could find was white. So I went from a powder blue Honda Civic hatchback, very feminine, to a white Jetta. Not quite as masculine as I had hoped either, but the car fucking hauled ass, and I loved it. And it had like dope, great, like tan leather interior. I thought it was just, I'm like, I am the coolest person on the planet. And it was the only car to this day that I've ever owned that I'm like, I thoroughly enjoy driving this every day. I get into it is awesome. Like I loved commuting back and forth to work. I would drive super fast because it was a stick, and you could just fucking haul ass and screech the tires. And I thought that was the coolest thing. I'm like, if I do this right, they're like, what? And like, the tires like keep going. And then that car basically shit the bed on me every possible way it could. Because if you've ever owned a Jetta from mid 90s on, man, probably until about 2000, I think they got better, but 2005 rather. But man, it was like I think it was a 1994 Jetta, and every electrical system went shitty on it to the point where I actually, and I'm not shitting you, drove it to the dealership of where I bought my current Honda, and it was smoking. It was like sparks were like the radiator was just gone. None of the windows worked. It couldn't pass a smog check. And I'm like, take this fucking thing away. And I bought a Honda Accord, and I'm like, this, and it's the car I still have today. Yeah. It's 11 years.
My favorite thing about that story is your buddy Stu.
My buddy Stu.
Who he had the
Still
car
has
that
a Jetta.
you described. Like I imagine he has a modern equivalent
He does.
now because he has a
100%
YouTube channel
does. Yep.
that is called Wheelie Cool
Vids. Go check that out if you like cars.
Favorite thing.
He reviews cars now. He gets to drive all sorts of cars. He used to have an Audi TTRS. I think he just got rid of that. But that thing was the kind of car where you get into it and you start driving and your face starts to feel the gravity of like, holy fuck, this, like you get sucked back into the chair. Real quick though, the other thing that I remember saving up for, and this, I don't know why, I think I've talked about this before, was my buddy and I wanted to start a video business, and we didn't have enough money for one of us to buy a computer and a camera. So I went to my dad and I was like, hey, I think I had $1,000 in my savings account, and I needed $1,500 because the guy that was going to sell me this used camera wanted that much money. And I'm like, Dad, I need $500. I'm going to start this burgeoning video business, guaranteed it'll one day take me all the way to YouTube. It's going to be great. My dad's like,
All the way to YouTube.
My dad's like, I could give you the $500 right now, or you could figure out how to save and earn it and buy the camera. And he's like, and you're telling me you want to start a business, so I want you to choose, like, which one of these do you want? And I'm like, he's like, but you have to pay me back. And I'm like, I don't like that. So I guess I'll just wait. And it ended up being like to the point where I just didn't do anything for like 2 weeks and saved like the extra $500 that I needed. And boom, I went and bought the camera, and we started the business, and it failed miserably. Then I took that camera and I started shooting weddings with it. And then I cut a reel that got me the job at IGN.
There you go.
So weddings and
IGN needed a
industrials.
wedding photographer.
Well, I knew After Effects too. I taught myself
yeah.
After Effects. So Fran was like, "This guy knows motion graphics. He's going to take us into the next century," and I did.
You did IGN strategize.
Oh, man.
That dope ass intro.
Dude, that was awesome. I'm actually still proud of that one. That was pretty cool. But yeah, that was very interesting for me because I'm like, I'm going to do this, take this risk, and buy this camera, and I'm going to make something out of myself. I'm going to teach myself how to use it. And I almost got, I fucked up so many jobs. I had no idea what I was doing. No idea what I was doing. Thank God.
Did you ruin people's weddings?
Yeah, a couple. Yeah, because the camera was, I didn't know what you were supposed to do.
Had nothing to do with the camera. Banged the
Damn!
bridesmaids, but
I mean, it wasn't the bridesmaids, it was the mom. Moms. No, those cameras used to run off of little magnetic tapes, these little mini DV
Yeah,
tapes.
I remember those.
Now cameras are a lot more stable. Like these run off of CF cards, and they're a lot more stable. But back in the day, if you used the wrong tape that wasn't quite strong enough for the motor inside, it would actually shred the tape, and then you would have to have the whole mechanism replaced. And I don't have enough money to have the mechanism replaced, so I just had it cleaned. And so every like third or fourth wedding, there'd be like these little glitches everywhere. And I for the most part edited around them. No one ever noticed. But there was one person who was like, "This is unusable. You have to give my money back." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll give you." Thank God I gave him the money back. Everything was fine. And then eventually, right around the time when I'm like, I gotta buy a new camera if I'm gonna stay in this game, but I hated shooting weddings, was when Fran called me back and was like, "Hey, if you want, the job's yours, and I need you here in like 3 days." And I'm like, "Thank God, I'll be there."
You threw the camera in the trash and walked away.
No, I still I owned it up until about a year ago. And my wife's like, because I had this concept of like, we're gonna have a house one day. I'm gonna put the first camera I ever shot anything on the mantle somewhere on a bookshelf with a little downlight on it.
And D was like, "Nope."
And she was like, and then the negotiation started. And that day ended with me taking it to some place in the mission that like takes random electronic equipment.
Like a
and I just
halfway
gave
house.
it to him. Yeah, I think I saved something from it, but I can't remember.
Just real quick about the powder blue Honda.
Yeah.
Because I know
Idiot.
the car
Called
you're
it sport,
talking about
called it sporty.
because my good friend growing up, his older brother, that was his first car, which I think he bought from his grandfather.
Yeah.
And what I remember about it is that he then somehow bought like a one that was like 2 years older at some point. It was just, and I remember going over there one day when I was like 10 or whatever, being like, "Is that like a mildly different car?" But it's the same car. How did you find another one? Do you actually like it?
No, this car had so little horsepower that there was a big hill that you had to go to drive from my high school to my house, and I had to circumvent the hill because it wouldn't make it up. It was like a golf cart at a certain point. We were talking about a car that had no frills whatsoever. Like, I think it had you would sit in there, it had no center console. It was just a bump with some of that really shitty carpet over it, a stick that was like this long, and a ball at the end of it that said 1, 2, 3, and 4 and reverse. That was pretty much it. And even my Stu at the time was like, "Why did you get this car?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I got put on the spot. The guy's like, 'Do you want it?' My dad's like, 'Are you sure you want this?' And I'm like, 'Yeah, I definitely want this.' And then it wasn't until I drove over to Stu's house and saw the look on his face that I realized the monumental fuck up that I just made in my life. And it was, awesome. I'm talking, I think I must have got when I was a sophomore. And then for the rest of the time, I had to drive to school in this fucking thing. That I think what had happened was back in the day, and I'm sure it's still the case now, kids like to do all sorts of crazy shit, but there were guys that would buy like Civics, or their parents would buy them Civics, and they'd drop them and like put rims on them and like subs in the back
spoilers.
and like all spoiler shit. And I was like, I'm gonna do that, except you got to start with a semi-cool car first, and I did not do that.
The big car when I was a kid, well, when I was in school, everyone had a Maxima. That was the car.
The Maxima.
Everyone
was the shit.
fucking wanted.
Nissan Maxima.
Dude, everyone had a Maxima. I had never seen so many Maximas in my entire life. Fucking everyone had one. It was like, what the hell is going on?
Everyone had one. Did everyone want one?
No, everyone had that. Like, would go buy used Maximas.
People like Maximas.
Oh yeah, no, people
like
loved in like the late
that.
'90s. People loved Maximas. Yeah. Like, I just remember that because I remember being like, because the only car I ever owned, which I didn't even really do anything with, was a Ford Ranger. Mm-hmm. And I remember like people, which my dad bought from some guy that he was a fireman with or whatever. So we got it for, I think, literally $1.
Hey, Onion Man, you want this truck?
And I just remember being like, I want a Maxima, and I don't know why. It's just because literally 90% of the people in the parking lot at the high school have this car.
Fit in.
And now I don't see them anywhere. I don't know if it's only like a New York or East Coast thing. I don't know like what's going on. But
no,
like,
they were popular. In Chicago, people had this too.
Because I was like, yeah, it's very interesting. Like that. I guess maybe they don't make them anymore.
I remember a kid I went in high school with. His name was Joe, and he had one that was black, and I liked it a lot. I was like, that kind of looks like the Batmobile. That's cool. And then I had my Ford Taurus.
Taurus, good car also.
Well, this one wasn't, but yeah.
My buddy Scott
drank oil.
I was so envious too because he got around the same time we got cars. He got a slightly newer, I think it was a Nissan Sentra, a Toyota Sentra, whoever makes that. And it was like a cool red color, and it had like tinted windows that came in a spoiler. And I was like, I'm so jealous. I could have just held out for this car. And then 6 months later, his dipshit girlfriend left the back like a carton of milk in the back over the weekend. That car smelled like spoiled milk for the rest of its existence. And I was like, huh. There you go. At least my car doesn't smell like fucking spoiled milk.
Real quick. This is an aside. I gotta just say it.
Take it.
What I remember about when I went to high school in Long Island, I remember there was a hill you went down to you went up to go and then down to leave. And I just remember the caravan of cars
Up to go, down to leave.
Yeah, up to go there and down to leave. That
Makes sense.
And I just remember in my memory, it's just burned in my memory. The caravan of nice cars, but they're really over the top. I remember this one guy had a PlayStation 2 built into his trunk and stuff like that. With
Exhibit was there.
Yeah, the X to the Z was there, and I was. I remember thinking where is everyone getting this money? Because I make $6 an hour. I don't know where the fuck what everyone's doing, how they're getting all this money. But I just remember the speed bumps, the 2 speed bumps, and how the entire caravan slowly went over these speed bumps and turned the wheels, to not drag.
Oh yeah.
And it was just, I remember just watching as I'm just saying, there was every car for 20 seconds going over this speed bump, and then the next speed bump slam on the brakes or this whole, and it took this procession for 90 minutes leaving the goddamn. That's my memory of high school.
Exact same in my school.
Yeah, my friends are
So
still
funny.
like that. That's their Lord RSXs getting STI. I'm like, good Lord, you guys need to stop.
Yeah.
You need to stop.
My topic also comes from patreon.com/kindafunny, where our boy Aziz wrote in with his topic after supporting us. And it is best dessert. Easy answer, lemon meringue pie.
No.
Game over. Game
Lemon
set
meringue
match.
pie is awesome. I really love it.
terrible.
I especially shout
It's
out to
terrible?
Nations.
I don't like it.
Nations
Key lime.
giant pies, I think
You
they're
told me
called.
about this where I didn't know what that was. That's a
Oh,
thing
it's
out
a-
here, and then I said Baker Square, and you said it was like Baker Square.
It's like Baker Square.
Baker's Dozen?
Shout out to Baker Square.
Dude, the Baker Square that I used to go to somewhere down by San Mateo is gone, right?
There used to be one in Marina, right by Nick's place, but then
It's too bad.
I think all
I
Baker
used to go
Squares
there
are
with
falling
Clements.
off. I'm going to look in to see if there's Baker Square still around.
I loved it, especially when I was little, because it was one of those places that had not coloring books, but coloring pages. They'd give
Coloring
you while you
menus?
wait, coloring menus, yeah. And they had all little
Placemats.
dancing characters and stuff. I'm like, I am so fucking into this. But yeah, no, there's a great lemon meringue pie at Nations out at Westlake. We should go there sometime. They're open 24 hours.
I'm totally
which is the key element there. But they fuck you. They fuck you really hard.
Okay.
But
Fuck you hard,
we know how to fuck them back.
How do you fuck
How do they fuck you
So,
hard?
Here's
You
the
fuck them
thing.
back.
You're not, if you buy a full pie,
You're an asshole.
they refuse to give you forks because they don't want you sitting in there eating the pie. But where the fuck else am I going to eat the pie? They'll only give you a fork if you buy a slice.
Tim,
so
that's
bring
because
your
it's
own fork.
wholesale.
Then we'll be
They don't
fine.
charge you taxes for the whole
Bring
pie.
your fork.
Yeah, yeah.
We eat
But
at
if they
the
sell it as food,
place.
they have to charge you taxes.
I don't understand why any
Who
of
the
this
fuck
happening.
cares?
That
I wanna
the
eat my goddamn
government,
pie.
the government cares. That's
Fuck
why
the
you're not
government.
allowed to eat it there.
You're holding me back from my lemon meringue pie?
The best dessert, lemon meringue pie.
It's good. I think ice cream is undeniably the best dessert just because it's goes good on anything. You can add that to any other dessert and it just somehow makes it better.
Baker Square's still popping off in Chicago, or the Chicago, the burbs of Chicago.
I gotta be honest with you guys. I disagree with the lemon. Key lime pie is pretty good,
Key lime pie's good.
but pie in general is not my go-to. Much more of a cake guy. Love the red velvet cake.
So you're saying red velvet cake's the best dessert?
I would say that is the dessert that if you're saying, Nick, it's your birthday, you're going to eat carbs for this one day, you're going to go get Taco Bell first, natch, and then afterward you can have whatever you want. I'm going to go with a giant slice of red velvet cake from Susie Cakes.
Oh,
down in
Susie
San
Cakes is so
Francisco.
good.
That red velvet cake, when it's freshly made, is so good that it makes your
moist.
fucking teeth numb. And you don't care. You know this is not a natural reaction your body should be having to a food product, and you don't care. You just power through it, and you eat the rest of it, and then you stay up, and then 3 days later you crash.
Yeah.
It is fantastic.
That
I'll give it
reminds me
also
of the-
shout out to cheesecake as well.
Cheesecake's
Love
good.
cheesecake.
Cheesecake's
I mean,
good. That's not the conversation for best dessert.
Oh, I think it's in the conversation, but it's not going to win it out.
Yeah.
My thing is, I want to give a shout out to the Krispy Kreme donuts that are just pure sugar.
Sure.
Those things talk about your mouth.
Yeah, oh,
being
yeah.
just, like, ridiculous.
when they're hot and you get them and they just dissolve. in
That's
your
what I'm
mouth.
saying. It's like that. It reminds me, like eating that. It gives you that sensation that it's similar to an orgasm. It's one of those things where it's like you just instantly goes and just shoots out. You
Sure.
know? You're like,
I've had
it's
those.
over before it even fucking starts.
100%.
You're like, I wanted to enjoy this thing. I guess I really enjoyed
That was
it.
sex for me from the first time I had sex, which was, by the way, when I was 21, all the way up until now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin, give me a rag zoom.
No, Kevin, don't give him a
Just give him the one
there you
shot.
go.
Just give him the one.
That's what he wants. That's what he wants.
It's a trick question. There is no good dessert. Now, let me be really clear about what I mean by this.
You can take him off the rack zoom now. If he's not going to address the camera. He's like, give me a rack zoom, and then he started talking at Nick.
I just like saying it. I never understood the point of dessert and dessert food. If they come up, like yesterday we went to Nopa, right?
Yeah, we
we
did.
you had the chicken, I had the cheeseburger, right? We had a nice time.
Tomato
we had
salad.
drinks. We probably had too many drinks, I would say.
We had just the right amount of drink.
And they come and they're like, would you like dessert? And I'm like, why would I want dessert? If I want anything, just give me another fucking cheeseburger.
Right.
Is like a trick question? Like, what is it about dessert?
It goes well with coffee.
It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make sense.
It's a treat.
Pie
what are you
overrated,
saying?
ice cream overrated. All these things are overrated. Why wouldn't you want to have like a meal or like something good, like the entree? The entree, the center of the entire meal, is the best part of the meal. So then you're flanking it with things that don't.
Well, it's a journey. It's the opposite of that. It's the analog to the appetizer, right? Like it's a smaller thing. The main attraction is still that middle main course,
Right, but you're ramping up
and now you're
to
winding
something,
down.
and then you disappointingly end it. That's kind of the way I look at it. Like the appetizer starts. You start with a drink, the appetizer, everything's fine. You go up to the entree like a step, like a picture as a step, and then you take a step back down and go to dessert. Why wouldn't you want to keep going up?
I think you
Keep
do.
going, or just staying at that level.
That's where the sweet, you just can't handle that much sweet as the main thing, or else people would do that.
I think a lot of people, considering the diabetes in the United States, I think a lot of people are trying.
They are trying.
They're at least trying.
Try your little hearts out.
Try hearts.
They're not going to succeed, though. They'll be dead. You know? It's
true.
Get rich or die trying.
I want to give a shout out to freshly baked chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, homemade chocolate chip cookies. Yeah.
See,
Wow,
that-
you're
that's why-
enthusiastic about that, Kev.
There's so many. What's the worst dessert? I think it's a more interesting discussion.
How much
Because,
time do you have?
desserts
Werther's
are
originals.
Love those things. You can, I can make an argument for Werther's, especially when you do. It's called pocket dessert. You're like, you remember, you don't think you have a Werther's in there? You put your hand in your pocket. You're like, what is this? What is this cellophane
Sticky
thing that's
weird
in my
thing.
hand? I don't understand.
Do I have a cough drop?
And it's yeah, you think it's a cough drop. Maybe it's a Ricola, or I thought I was gonna say Rico, but that's not.
Maybe it's a Rico case?
Maybe it's a Ricola. Maybe it's a Vicks, some sort of Vicks. You know, when your mom would give you the Vicks. No, she give you the Vicks cough drops. You're like, it's not Rico. I don't understand. What is this?
She's
What
like,
is this?
yeah, I know
What
it's
is
not
this?
Rico. We're
It's
not trying
Rico?
a bunch of people under one.
It's not a
one
Rico
criminal.
trial. But then you look in your hand, you're like, no, it's not any of those things. It's dessert in a wrapper, and you put it in, and you want to chew it, but you break your fucking teeth.
I just feel like the thing about it is that since I was a very little kid, I've always not been into like mostly
Sweets.
into sweet food, and there's exceptions, right? Like of course, but I've always felt really left out. Actually, like everyone's like gets excited about the birthday cake or the at the party, or they get excited about whatever, and I'm like, why is everyone? The cheeseburger was so good. The pork chop
Sure.
was phenomenal.
You're savory over sweet. I understand.
Exactly. So
I'm
to
the
me,
same
it's
way.
like what do I want for dessert? Just give me a pork chop.
You want more savory.
Yeah, that's
want
why
more
you
meal.
go to House of Prime Rib. They give you that dessert slice of prime rib. They know what's up. But
That's
it's once in a while. I'll be up for a dessert, something sweet at the end. But it pairs well with the
Oreo
coffee.
cookie.
I fucking love it.
Oreo cookies,
Alfredo's
that's
one of
just
those
a food
people
group.
that's like, I don't like sweets. I don't like sweets. But it's like you're a fucking liar. You love sweets. You love sweets more than almost anybody else I know. You just want to be the kid at the birthday parties. Like, I don't like cake. I want to be different and stand out and shit. And it's like, all right, good for you. Good for you. You're the
No.
one fucking. I've never seen Alfredo not munching on some sort of candy bar or some shit all fucking days. Like, I don't like sweets. Fuck you, Alfredo.
Fuck you,
like your
Alfredo.
goddamn
See,
sweets.
I
You
can
piece
say
of shit.
I don't dislike sweets, but to Colin's point, if you're saying, Nick, this is going to be a guilty pleasure day, what is the one thing you want? I'm like, pizza or a burrito. Like, I want that savory. I don't automatically go, oh, I can eat anything I want. Like, for instance, I was watching, I follow Rock on Instagram, and he gives himself cheat days. I can only imagine like once every like month or whatever the fuck he has to do. But when he was watching the fight, he was like, I don't know what it is about a fight that makes me want to have an awesome cheat day. And he's like, and there's more of these in the oven. And it was a giant plate of oatmeal cookies, chocolate chip cookies, like 3 different types of cookies.
He had cheeseburgers too.
And cheeseburgers, but he's like, I just want. He's like, I crave all this stuff, all this junk food, but I'm like, I wouldn't have got the cookies. I would just go straight for the.
Well, that's because you're healthy though. Like you think of it in that way of just like that is your cheat.
No, because I mean, to me, pizza and cookies are exactly the same. They do like on the level of like how your body reacts when they come into your bloodstream.
That's
they
what
do
I'm
exactly
saying.
the same.
That's
So I
the
wouldn't
people
care.
that don't think that way and just think burgers are just food.
Right.
they do look at cookies as like that's something that I shouldn't have too much of.
Sure.
I think majority of people eat as much burgers as they fucking want.
That's true. That's quite true.
It's strange though because I don't have an aversion to sweetness. Like I like Coca-Cola, for instance.
Yeah.
I do often finish nice dinners with espresso, which I like. And I don't even like coffee, which is the interesting thing. Espresso is like super strong coffee. I feel like it just helps me digest. So I just have a weird rule set. But I remember even like it's always been this way with Halloween. Like I would go out for Halloween when I was a kid, but then I would just like sell my candy. You know, like I didn't give a shit about what I was getting. Everyone was like, "Oh, the woman down the street gives away Nestle Crunch bars, or whatever." And I'd be like, "That's great because I can get like $3 for that." You know, like I'm not gonna like eat it. There was no negotiation when I got home. My dad and my mom knew. I was like, "I'm not. You can do whatever you want with this. I'm gonna fucking bring it to school and
You just like this.
pawn it off and buy GI Joes."
It's a good $4 in there, ma.
Yeah.
Make it last.
Dress as a ninja or some shit. Go get some candy for 3-4 hours.
Man,
Clean up.
have we done best Halloween costumes?
We did worst Halloween costumes.
But ours,
We should save it.
For
I'm sure there's some.
Halloween.
I'm sure
That's
there's.
great.
I'm sure there's some pictures of my Halloween costumes when I was a kid.
My biggest problem with dessert is that what you were talking about of if you had this amazing meal, why would you want something else? And I'm with you in the sense that I'm a very particular person when it comes to food and ordering and stuff. Like I order exactly what I want. I don't over order, and I know I prepare myself. You know, I'm not a big snacker overall.
You're not. You don't eat much.
It's just when I want something, I know what I want. I'm gonna
Yeah.
eat that thing. So the problem with that is when people come over and like, do you want dessert? The answer is I do want dessert, but I don't got room for dessert. You know, I didn't.
You budgeted this
budget for
accordingly.
that, right? So it's like it's hard for me to budget for dessert in mind. For me, dessert is like a thing of me and Kevin will be like, we're gonna go get ice cream. Like that is the trip. You know,
or like
that
when we
is
went
the
to
point.
our local Italian shop here, and
Yeah.
we got the dinner course. We
Yeah.
knew what we were getting. We
did.
knew every one of the many
Uh-huh.
courses we would get there,
And so I budgeted
ending with un
accordingly.
chocolat.
Yeah, that's fantastic. But then
See,
again,
that's how
I
you know
think
you're-
they did a good
Tim.
That's how you know you're not a fat kid because growing up, oh my god, that wouldn't matter. Someone's like dessert, great. More dessert, great. Even more like when we would throw like Easter's or Christmas, my mom would bring out 5-6 desserts, and I'd be like, I'm gonna have a slice of every single one of these because it's in front of me, and I'm gonna eat it.
Like Thanksgivings.
Oh god,
When you know the
Thanksgiving's-
pies are coming, you
the
gotta you're
fucking
leaving
pumpkin
something.
pie. It's so good. But my mom would also make a cheesecake because that's what she does, and I'd have to have a slice of both because I want that. And then also, oh, don't forget, there's a box of See's candy in front of you, and you want to try every single one of those. Again, I'm a completionist. That's why I platinum so many games.
It's true. He
Yeah.
is a completionist. If you didn't know, this has been the Game Over Greggy Show. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather around this table. Each bring a random topic discussion for your amusement. If you like that, head over to Patreon.